What you think about when you're born into a fire. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed.
That's me singing right there. That's all my track. It's my debut album. Mariah's in the studio trying to distract me. We are separated, but we're thinking about working something out. I've got her in intensive therapy.
The hours beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves. Never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. Burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake it to the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. To blame. Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake it to the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised
Mariah's forcing Liam to be on the stream. He doesn't want to, but making him. He's like, yeah, I can if I have to, I guess. She does not watch the stream. You'd be surprised. It's the first one she's been to in years, and that's because she's in the office and feels left out. I'm not devoting all my time. She usually goes to bed about 7 p.m., which is awesome because she gets up about 4 p.m. And then she doesn't have, it's easy to plan the rest of her day. Right? All right. Give me a second where I get Facebook set up. I have to start it after the music, so... Anybody got any jokes? You want to hear a piss joke or a piss joke? She used to be my biggest fan. She used to be in every stream. She was a moderator. She just gave up on me. Decided I was never going to make it.
That is not true.
And she's like, you have your stupid little show. She gets mad at me for being out late, even though this pays for her lifestyle. You know, the norm. The normies. I think she fell for Nick Alvear. She always makes me wear the wig when we're together. All right, there we go. Roll the intro.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you
I'm the next
for watching
Russell Crowe.
Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes
Grandpa's
and
alive.
I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. We're on the big screen. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Will Bard, this is Cold Beer Confessional, and Liam went to a military ball tonight. So Mariah's making him come show you that he's dressed up or something. I don't know. Come on, Liam.
Tell them that I didn't force you. I asked if you wanted to do it, and you said yeah.
Bend down. They can't see you. Yeah, I gotta bend down. It's where the mic is.
You tell them.
Hello. Where do I look? Oh, okay. Hello. I definitely was not forced to do this.
Yes, look into the camera as you say it.
You need help. Blink once. Oh, there we go.
But
military ball.
yeah, military ball was really fun. RTC has some very interesting characters. RTC has some very interesting characters. Some very weird kids, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. One of my friends got to be the new commander, so that's nice. And then one of my other friends is being the second in command. I forgot what it's called, but it's the whatever the second in commander, something like that. But so it was good. Mock trial, we won district competition, and we're going to state now. So that's gonna be fun. We're going to.
That's who your date was from the mock trial girl.
Yeah, my date to the military ball was one of the people from mock trial. That was really fun.
Girl that's older than you.
Yep.
You want to do this interview?
Just add those details.
Yeah, we're all going to Nashville. It's gonna be fun.
Someone called you Tennessee Daniel Ratcliffe.
have to do a fundraiser to raise money because they might do that.
Oh yeah, we're probably doing a fundraiser for mock trial state.
We don't know the details yet.
Yeah, we don't really know much of the details about mock trial state though for the fundraiser. We have an idea of what we're gonna do, but we don't really know.
Someone said you look like a Tennessee Daniel Ratcliffe.
Just pull your chin, touch it to that. Now talk.
Okay. Hello.
And someone said, "Can you do an impression of your dad?"
No. Sorry, an impression of my dad's too hard.
Can you do any impressions?
I can do some.
Do Benjamin Netanyahu.
I've never heard him speak.
Yes,
Honestly,
you have. He speaks all the
I
time.
actually haven't. I've never seen this man do an interview.
Do a normal Jewish guy.
Okay, and we're already starting.
Someone said your dad is super proud. He brags about you all the time on here.
Thank you.
His mom wouldn't know because she never watches the show.
Shut up!
Yeah, she is asleep like half the time the show's on. I'm pretty sure.
It's
so.
late as
All
hell.
the time the show's on.
Yeah.
Please tell us your thoughts on Burt Lynch.
What do you
This is
think about
urgent.
Bort? He's the guy in Las Vegas that
He
used
doesn't
to be a singer in Las Vegas. Now he just begs people for money online.
Oh my gosh.
And he wants to whoop your dad's ass in a wrestling ring.
Oh my
You
gosh.
could do it too.
Yeah. Good luck. We gotta start wrestling here.
Bug Dude said just yell and cuss a lot to sound like your dad. A lot of people like your jacket.
Guy wants to fight me. The
Oh my
Elvis impersonator.
Gosh, he does look like Elvis. That's crazy.
Clearly, you've never seen Elvis, but
Okay, well, I danced to an Elvis
he's
song
a
at the
failed
military.
musician, a failed entertainer, a failed podcast. He's failed at everything, and now he said, "I know some people in the MMA. We'll get in the octagon."
Oh my!
Claims he's a black belt in kung fu.
What?
He's like 67 or something.
Said, yeah, give Liam a vape and I won't be able to tell the difference.
No.
No,
No, I'm not allowed.
I'm not. You shouldn't want to.
It's too expensive. I couldn't if I wanted to.
You don't need nicotine.
I couldn't if I wanted to.
All right. Well, tell everybody that you'll let them know about the fundraiser.
Yeah, I'll let you all know about the fundraiser whenever we get
To go to
more
state,
news. Yeah, first day.
and then tell them I'll buy or whatever you want to do.
Someone said you 6'7". What does that mean?
Bird is
Like
six,
this-
seven
6'7".
years old. 6'7".
Oh God.
Yeah, he said 67 years
Oh
old.
my God, Mariah doesn't know what Fetty Wap is. Tell him, Liam.
Fetty Wap is
No,
like
just do the song.
it.
Does
Fetty,
anyone else know?
it's the song
1738. Now you do the bar.
Trap Queen. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Mom doesn't know.
We were singing the song in pieces earlier. At
Yes.
Chili's, and she was like, "What? What are you guys doing? What's going on? Is this an internet thing?" Mariah's still on Facebook.
Shut
Mariah's
up.
on Facebook with the boomers. That's all she watches all day long. She doesn't use TikTok. She doesn't use Instagram. Mariah is solely on Facebook.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
As a 30-something-year-old, 70-year-old.
Mom's like such a boomer. Like it's bad. Like she doesn't know anything about like TikTok or anything. Like all the references I make, she doesn't
See?
get.
Look, even chat's saying 1738. She's like, "Is that one of those internet memes? What is that?"
Mimi.
Yeah,
Me.
it's so bad. She's like oblivious to everything.
Wait, I didn't know Michael sent one.
Epstein.
Tell Michael to send another one because I don't add people I don't know.
They can hear you screeching already.
Can they?
The mic's going
Michael, send me another one.
All right, back up some and see if you can show them your suit. It's like a bandana pattern, but it's black on black with a black tie and a black vest. Because the girl he took had a just a black sparkly dress.
Stuff on the camera. Oh yeah.
It only picks up super close, or your mom's screeching.
Yeah, Mom doesn't know who Fetty Wap is, and it's really sad.
Why would I need to know? Yes.
Seen your pretty ass soon as you came
The
through the
door.
door.
See my trap queen.
That's a t-shirt.
I ain't never letting go.
Oh my god.
Mariah,
Alright.
is your Ashley Madison account still active? I've never had an Ashley Madison account.
She's on Sugar Babies.
Facebook is for all.
She's on
faggot
Sugar
people.
Babies.
They are hurting my feelings.
That's true.
Seen your pretty ass soon as you came through the door.
Someone said, "We're proud of you, Liam."
I'm
Thank
trying
you.
to hide, so finish what you're doing.
Okay, thank you for all the stuff. Thank you for all the compliments and everything, and I'll give you all new news on the fundraiser whenever we get more stuff. See y'all. Have a good day.
All right, your mom will let you. They'll still be commenting because there's like a delay. So you can read the comments with your mom. Are you guys leaving? Thank God. Love you. Bye. All right. Now, welcome to the show. It just went from PG to PG-13. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Will Barr. This is Cobra Confessional. He is going to a state tournament for whatever, and we got an Airbnb down on the river, within walking distance of. It's like it's in Nashville, and it's near a Legislative Way or whatever they call it, like where the Capitol and shit is. It's like a big loop in Nashville, and we got an Airbnb because I heard parking was so bad. Like literally during the the parent meeting, they warned us about parking like 10 times. So we got an Airbnb that's like a block and a half away. And it was cheaper than getting a hotel, especially close. Like the closer you are, the more expensive the hotel was. And even with the discount that the Tennessee Bar Association sets up, it was still $150 per night. Oh no, $160 per night. It was $30 off per night. It was 160. It was 190. They mark it down to 160 a night. It looked like a trap house hotel. And then we would need 3 rooms because it's me, my wife, right? Me and Mariah. Then my sister's going, plus my niece and nephew are going. So we'd need at least 2 rooms, maybe 3 rooms. That's what, $480 a night for 2 nights. So now we're over $900. So a Airbnb with 4 beds was cheaper than that. Well, it was about the same price as that. And then we'll just split that, and it worked out a lot better than trying to stay in this. What was the name of the hotel? Hold on. The kids are staying at the hotel, but literally they went 2 years ago and stayed at that same hotel. And it was so bad that the teacher's like, I'm inspecting every room before you guys go in, because they got a room last year when they were there because it's cheap. Basically, the deal they get is they get the first night for 4 rooms is free. And then they just had to pay for the second night. You can't beat that deal if you're part of the team, right? So, but she's like, I'm checking everybody's room before you guys check in, because last year when they went, they checked into the room and there was like a busted TV and a bunch of other broken shit. So they're like, no, we're not, especially kids, because they'll blame them for like broken shit, which is crazy. I forgot to do that thing for Nathan, damn it. Let's see. They're staying at the Millennium Maxwell House Hotel, which apparently used to be a nice hotel. But it's just old. Hold on. Hotel Nashville. Here.
I do know who that is then. No, the guy that's saying everybody in the club getting tipsy. But I didn't know his name was Jaquan.
Fetty Wap.
That's not it.
We're talking about Fetty Wap.
All right, love you, bye.
1738.
No.
Mariah's my trap queen.
Shut up.
So like it used to be a nicer hotel, but it's not very nice now. It's just aged, right? But that's the deal they can get, so that's where they stay. They're not allowed to stay with us. We're not allowed to get our own fucking we're not allowed to take like our own kid. Like Liam can't even come to the Airbnb because it's the way it's structured in the schedule. They're afraid they'll miss. But mock trial's cool, even if you don't like lawyer stuff or shit like that. I mean, drama club's interested. It's basically like acting too, plus some memorization and whatever. We have one girl that does like a full Irish accent. See you guys, love you. One girl is like a one of the witnesses. Lock that door, please. The handle. One girl's the witness, and she does like a full Irish accent and shit. So I don't know. It's pretty good. When we went to regional competition, we won everything. Best defensive witness. Oh my God, she set the fucking car alarm off. Best defensive witness. Best prosecution witness. Best defensive attorney. Best prosecutor. We won everything. So hopefully we do really good in state. But the problem is that there's a bunch of private schools that we didn't have to compete against. And some of these schools like teach it as like Liam, the way Liam's school's set up, it's just an after school thing. You have to volunteer all your time. You have to show up to practice. You have to memorize a bunch of shit. It's all volunteer based. But there's some like private schools that like teach mock trial as a class. And they spend, school resources, school time, school money. You don't have to volunteer extra time. You have a period where that's what you do for like 1 semester is just get ready for mock trial. So the private schools usually do really, really good at mock trial. So hopefully Liam and them have a chance. I'm not saying they don't, but it's going to be tougher competition, I guess, is what I should say. And then what was the other one? Oh, apparently our school doesn't seem to participate in it as far as I can tell. But what is that? There's one that's like a mock United Nations or whatever. What's that? Like student government United Nations or whatever? That would be cool too. Like where you pretend to represent a country and they're like on the brink of war and you do negotiations and all. That would be cool too. But I don't think we have that. Anyways, we're back. Mariah's gone finally. And yeah, let's get started. Still on the brink of war or in the holy war or whatever the fuck we're doing. What is that? All right, let's see what was shared to me first. Let's start here. Mark Wayne Mullen. I don't think I can go live at the competition. They're saying they don't even like cell phones inside the competition, but we'll live stream. That first night that we're there, there's no competition. It's actually, we're going down on a Thursday night. The competition is Friday and Saturday, so I'll probably live stream from from like hanging out in Nashville. That'll be one stream, and then the next 2 days I probably won't stream at all. Model UN, thank you. Just because a lot of politicians, I know you guys didn't hear that. I'll restart it. Just because a lot of politicians have a drinking problem doesn't mean that you can just hand wipe that away or hand wave that away.
10 in the morning, that's a drinking problem. Now, it doesn't mean that there should be a stigma.
Then there's a lot of politicians that have a drinking problem, Jake.
How does the competition work? The competition is basically there's a case, and your school has to field 2 teams, a prosecution team and witnesses. And the second team is a defense team and witnesses. So when we practice, our prosecution goes up against our defense. When we go to competition, our prosecution goes up against a different team's defense, and a different team's prosecution goes up against our defense. And it does not matter. They have a verdict, like the jury rules a verdict on the case, like guilty, innocent, hung jury, whatever. That doesn't matter. Instead, it's the way you present yourself, handle yourself. There's a bunch of scores they score on, like appearance and your speech and use of objections and blah, 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 all that stuff. But the actual facts of the case that we actually have, I would probably say not guilty. It doesn't seem like the evidence is there. It's very circumstantial, blah, blah, but that doesn't matter, right? You get a ruling. And then the judge is kind of like the referee. They have current and former lawyers as the jury members, and they all vote who they think won. And then they take it's a round robin tournament, so everybody's going to play everybody or whatever over the next 2 days from all the regions. And then they vote on who they think won, and they vote on, the best witnesses and the best prosecutor and the best defense attorney and the best defense witness and whatever. But usually it's something, my nephew Nathan, who participates in everything, literally he was just running a phone bank for, what was this? Children's Miracle Network. He was working the phone bank for a radiothon for the Children's Miracle Network like 2 days ago, but he was in mock trial. And he said theirs was like embezzlement and insurance fraud and shit. We actually got a murder case, which is pretty cool and more interesting, I think. But all right, back to the video.
Talking about drinking at 10 in the morning, that's a drinking problem. Now, it doesn't mean that there should be a stigma.
Then there's a lot of politicians that have a drinking problem, Jake.
Yes, of course.
He just got in saying that the president was racist because he doesn't like brown people. Yet I sat in front of you as a Cherokee Indian, and I'm very close friends with
Oh, yeah. The most Cherokee Indian I think I've ever seen.
the president. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too. It's the first time we've had a real backbone to the
You just gotta love your man through fucking his secretary, right?
Western Hemisphere since 1989 when we got rid of Noriega, or not Noriega, what's the word I'm looking for there? And Panama. And
I'm not disputing he may be a card-holding member of Cherokee Nation or whatever. The problem is when we're talking about racism, a lot of times it's your outward, like he doesn't present as a Native American, right? So he's probably not being judged as a Native. He's being judged as a white man when he goes places, when he applies for a job, when he gets pulled over by the cops, right? You can be black and be pretty white presenting. You can be a lot of things and be pretty white presenting, and you clearly don't get the same reaction you would as if you were like your white people imagine when they think Native American or black person or whatever.
And when we ousted Noriega, that's what it is. If you want to talk about Noriega, it's the first time we've had a real backbone to the Western Hemisphere since 1989 when we got rid of Noriega, or not Noriega, what's the word I'm looking for there? And Panama. And when we ousted Noriega, that's what it is. If you want to talk about being unqualified, Pete Hegseth, the gentleman, or not Pete Hegseth, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pete Hegseth, super unqualified.
Or Pete Buttigieg.
Oh.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
We'll stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution of your problem?
No, sit down.
And a lot of times.
The first thing he does when he stands up for a fight is take off his wedding ring. I think he might have thought they were fixing to fuck, not fight, right? He's like, you don't want to see what this has been through. He takes it off. I don't want to lose that in another body cavity.
If you talk to people of Kiev, or not Kiev, but my mind just let me. Crimea.
Unfortunately, you have President Hegseth, or I say President Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, that has got a great relationship with President Trump, and President Hegseth's been there. It's up to the Iraqi people.
I don't know why he called. That's a weird slip. To call him President Hegseth multiple times.
Or the Iranian people, it doesn't mean you can't rebuild. I mean, people have car accidents.
I'll get up in your butt, or yeah, let's fight.
And obliterate their bones and their legs, and yet they can still put, metal back in them and walk again. This is war.
Yeah, let's comfort our troops by saying, look, if you get your legs blown off, we can replace them now.
I can see this as war.
We haven't declared war. They declared war on us, but we haven't.
War. Secretary Hegseth.
We haven't declared.
Just now, you said this is war.
They called it war. What I was saying. Okay, well, that was a misspoke. What I was saying that they declared war on us, but war is ugly. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke.
Talking about drinking.
You want to say he's not qualified? Give me a joke. Give me a joke, guys. I don't know. The man can barely speak. I'm starting to see that no 4-year degree, 100%. Did you guys see that? First of all, I love this woman. This is the woman who does like I don't know what to call it, like soft parenting or like as a teacher where let's keep our hands to ourselves. Let's do happy hands or whatever, that type of thing. And she does those skits. This one was very funny.
Remember, no more Secretary of Homeland Security, friend. That game's all done. Okay.
She's talking to Christy Nome after she lost her job, or the skit is about.
Remember, no more Secretary of Homeland Security, friend. That game's all done. Okay, but no. You have a super special new job. You're going to be the cowboy of the America. It does have a super fancy name. It's a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas Western Hemisphere. Yes, and the hemisphere is so big.
She has a bunch of really funny videos. She does them for like the president, the vice president, all of them, like where she's trying to explain simple fucking topics to them as if she's teaching kindergarten.
Cowboy of the America. It does have a super fancy name. It's a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas Western Hemisphere. Yes, and the hemisphere is so big, friend. You are going to be so busy over there. Yes, if you work super duper hard on your hemisphere project, you could earn a really special award. Yeah, like an important peace prize from.
Yeah, dude, someone said it the other day. Like, remember when we all made fun of George Bush? Which at the time I was Republican, but I would do anything to have Bush back. And Dick Cheney. Like, holy fuck, dude. They have pushed the envelope so fucking far now. Like the stuff that Dick Cheney never even imagined, and he's an evil genius.
Soccer organization, exactly. So here is your...
Or like a John McCain, when he stops that crazy old Facebook grandma. Mariah's a Facebook grandma, but when he stops that crazy Facebook grandma from saying, like, Obama's, well, I read up on him and he's a Muslim. He's like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. He's a good guy. He's a Christian. We both want what's best for the country. We just have different ideas of how to do that. And like snatches the microphone away from her.
Special secret hemisphere project hat. You need to take care of it, okay? Oh, no, not like a pet. Take care of it a lot better than your pets, okay, friend? All right. Are you ready to go play? Okay. Everywhere in the Western Hemisphere except multiple Native American reservations in South Dakota. Got it? Okay. Show me cowboy.
Like, I think the history books have to show that, like, Stephen Miller is, like, this evil fucking puppet master that was pushing through all this shit because he's, like, an incel or something, right?
Hemisphere project hat. You need to take care of it, okay? Oh, no, not like a pet. Take care
That's
of it
right,
a lot better than your pets, okay, friend?
Take care of it a lot better. This is your official hat. Take care of it better than a pet. We've seen what you do to your dogs.
All right. Are you ready to go play? Okay. Everywhere in the Western Hemisphere except multiple Native American reservations in South Dakota. Got it? Okay. Show me cowboy. Oh, very nice. Shine on. Remember, no more Secretary of Homeland
She's very
Security
funny.
for
Or I think it's funny. That's the way they need it explained. Let's see if she does another one. Kristi Noem's handler after Trump fired her.
Secretary of Homeland Security is all done, my friend. Let us pause on the costumes for just a second so we can focus, okay? Well, nobody wants to play with you anymore, and we need to talk about why that is. Well, was calling civilians terrorists a
Catch a bubble, friend.
kind choice or an unkind choice? Catch a bubble, friend. No.
That's right.
Congress was not being mean. They were asking you questions. Do you remember that really big word, accountability? You are not allowed in the DHS building, around animals, or on multiple Native American reservations in South Dakota. Got it? No. You can have the hat back when we are done, okay? When you make decisions that hurt people or break their trust, eventually, everyone will stop trusting you. Just because you and your friends were ignoring consequences does not mean that there were no consequences, right? You know, I can see that you're having a really big feeling, so I'm gonna grab your iPad.
Catch a bubble, friend.
Make some pretend ads about yourself. Well, okay, I'm setting a timer for 5 minutes. Yes, here is your hat. Playing Secretary of Homeland Security.
She's very good at what she does. And her name's Miss Frazzled. I think she is a teacher, was a teacher or something. What is this? Insane school lunch lore?
Government-owned cheese caves, Big Milk, school lunch, and the draft are all related. The law that requires schools to serve kids lunch was created as a matter of national security because when the U.S. started drafting men for World War II, so
they had calcium calcium depletion and malnourishment. So they're like, holy fuck, we got to get these people something.
many of them couldn't serve because they were malnourished. And the second half of that law says schools should encourage the domestic consumption of nutritious agricultural commodities. So they tied child nutrition to agricultural demand. If demand for milk drops, prices crash. After the school lunch law was passed, dairy farmers now had a huge guaranteed market for liquid milk. So they made more milk. But Americans gradually started drinking less milk. So
Spicy_Atsuko just resubscribed for 46 months.
Atsuko, I was on a roll and you interrupted me. Thanks a lot.
there was too much milk, which doesn't keep well. So they turned it into cheese, which the government bought and stored underground in old converted mines.
I imagine George W. Bush on a farm somewhere in Texas. By the way, you know that's all made up. That whole farmer cowboy bullshit, right? He was a trust fund kid from the fucking Northeast. Didn't even have an accent until they made him have one. But I imagine him on his farm somewhere, a ranch somewhere, just on loop watching that cartoon about how a bill becomes law, where the bill's like sitting out in front of the Capitol singing a song.
By the early 1980s, the government
He was a
owned
pilot.
over
That's
500 million pounds of cheese. Now, as to why, Big Milk was powerful, still is actually. But so during the Great Depression, farm prices collapsed, obviously. So as part of the New Deal, the government created a system where there's a minimum price for farm products. If prices fall below that because of lack of demand or whatever, the government has to buy the surplus products to keep farmers afloat. Again, that includes milk.
It is Schoolhouse Rock.
School lunch only exists because of war and capitalism.
I'm just a bill.
There were lawmakers that wanted anti-hunger programs, but the lawmakers who pushed to support
somebody just put
the
it in
farming
chat.
industry really were the ones who brought it home. I know this sounds insane, but the USDA even oversees marketing for milk. The Fluid Milk Promotion Act makes
USDA does all the marketing for milk.
dairy processors pay into a national marketing fund. You might know them from the Got Milk
Why was this ever a campaign?
campaign. Yes, that is big milk propaganda. So this whole MAGA PR push for whole milk that's very patriotic is not just out of nowhere. It's just wild to me that MAGA never bats an eye at this type of government.
It's very weird that the font they picked for whole milk looks a lot like cum, while the two guys are chugging it in the spa in blue jeans or whatever.
Controller oversight, but they will freak out if you mention having free lunch for every kid. Government-owned cheese caves, big milk, school lunch.
Interesting. Anyways, that's Miss Frazzled. She does a really good job. Andrew Callahan came out and announced the war, right? Get ready for the war with Iran. He's a big proponent, apparently. Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 News.
I hope you Americans out there, ages 18 to 35, are excited and happy to take a break from working 3 jobs alongside your 6 roommates next to a freeway in St. Louis and possibly be deployed overseas by our senile geriatric baby king to go spread the American dream worldwide. Because we are at war, baby. Yeah! The former supreme leader of Iran was noodle-knocked by Epstein robots in the wee hours of the night last Saturday, less than a week after El Mencho experienced death by Shorty. And now, several U.S. service members have been killed, and Trump says that things are likely to escalate over the course of the next few days and weeks. Persians in L.A. are quite excited, but some tears are flowing in Tehran, and I'm sure some of you guys, especially Americans, might be thinking, why now? Why'd we bomb Iran? What the helly? Well, according to Marco Rubio, it was to get ahead of a forecasted Iranian revenge plot that would likely occur after an Israeli offensive strike that was supposed to happen this week, as communicated behind closed doors between Israeli and U.S. intelligence. So once again, it appears that our hand was forced by our alleged greatest ally, Ghislaine Maxwell's father's employer, and we were embroiled in yet again another expensive and deadly Middle Eastern conflict, like back in the good old days before social media. And I know, again, some of you guys might be thinking, don't we have a $36 trillion debt? Don't 60 to 68,000 Americans die every single year because they can't afford medicine or healthcare? Isn't the worker share of the GDP the lowest since the Industrial Revolution? Didn't Trump run on an anti-war platform and promised to return domestic manufacturing jobs to regions of the country who were sold out and abandoned by union-busting corporations? Will the country that I pay exorbitant taxes to figure out how to provide for my essential needs in the way that dozens of other functional democratic nations across the world have? Will I be okay? And to that I say, listen, partner, get your head out of your ass and be a team player. It's Team America. And like our baseball coaches once said, there's no I in team. However, there is an I in the Greater Israel Project. So put your combat boots on. You and I are going to Iran. I hope you Americans out there, ages 18 to 35, are excited.
I hope you guys are ready. Here we go. Should be good. All right, this next video I want to preface with saying I don't believe any of this. There is no God, but the evidence is interesting. I used to like talking about conspiracy theories before people made that like their entire life, right? Their entire personality. Like everything's a conspiracy. Don't trust anybody. I don't even believe any doctors or consensus or the news or nothing unless I want to believe it. But this evidence is pretty good. Check it out. I liked his Hunter Biden interview, surprisingly. He did a really good job with the Hunter Biden interview. Hunter Biden did a really good job with the Hunter Biden interview. Just admitting to the fucked up shit and also setting the record straight on most of the other shit.
Whose face is on the temple coin for the third temple that's about to happen in Jerusalem?
King Cyrus and Donald.
That's right, Autumn.
Who is King Cyrus?
King Cyrus is the Persian
slave queen.
Gave the right to Israel to rebuild their temple. So Trump is basically fulfilling that same role as King Cyrus did.
And did you know that the Israel Heritage Foundation gave Donald Trump the Prince of Peace Award after he brokered the Abraham Accords? And then again in 2023, they gave him the Crown of Jerusalem.
So he's making a lot of peace in the Middle East, right?
Are the people of Jerusalem expecting that Trump is going to herald in the rebuilding of the blasphemous Third Temple?
Yes.
The beast in Revelation has 10 horns, but one stands out among them all. What is so special about the one horn?
It's boastful and speaks blasphemy.
And what does a horn generally symbolize?
A king.
And who is incredibly braggadocious and proud?
It's gonna be the best wall ever.
What is the third temple? The rebuilding of the Temple of the Mount, the Jewish third temple, a temple in Jerusalem to rebuild. Currently, it's like split up and sectioned off. Like the Muslims believe it's their holy spot where Muhammad received enlightenment from God, and then the Jews believe it's their holy spot, and they are fighting over it constantly. But they want to rebuild the temple, and it's also supposed to usher in the second coming of Christ.
See a temple like this could never be done. They said it could never be done.
But Donald Trump's name, if you use gematria, doesn't add up to a special 3-digit number, does it, Tati?
No.
It's not. That is why.
But whose name does add up to 666 in gematria? Donald Trump's name doesn't add up to 666 in gematria. But whose name does add up to 666 in gematria? Jared Kushner.
We are not making any crazy prophecy here. We are just telling you what our two eyes see. He is the crowned King Cyrus about to bring in the building of the third temple, which will bring in a certain 3-digit number, which is the name. The number equals the name of a man.
And what man is very close to Donald Trump who may have that number, Tati?
Mr. J. Kushner, who was also integral in bringing about the Abraham Accords and is now the special envoy for the Board of Peace in the Middle East.
So you're saying that there's something going on with this Kushner guy. Well, what building on Fifth Ave does he also own?
Trump's the only one dumb enough to be like, yeah, if they want to build a temple there, kick all the fucking the dirty Muslims out and we'll just build the temple there. Like, they know that they can probably compliment him enough to get him to do that. Everybody else has been like, look, you guys both think it's like your religious sites. You know, it's crucial for the founding of your religion. You guys both worship there. We got to share this spot. But Trump is just dumb enough to be like, God told me.
Owns 666 Fifth Avenue.
Wow.
The #1 most expensive real estate purchase in American history.
He paid a lot of money for that specific building because he wanted that number because he knew that it was for his name.
Who is heading up the rebuilding of Gaza?
Jared Kushner.
Where is Gaza?
In between Jerusalem and the sea.
Where does Daniel 11:45 say that the Antichrist will make his tent?
In between Jerusalem and the sea. We're not
Damn it.
any claims.
Got us there.
Not a prophecy. I'm just saying, a lot of things are adding up. A lot of things.
There's a lot going on.
Things you wouldn't believe. They never thought we could add this many things up in such a short amount of time.
Jared Kushner is the Antichrist, and Donald Trump is his vessel to put him in position to do his Antichrist thing.
Maranatha, come back Christ. Also, you're not getting raptured.
Whose face is on the
So you're not getting raptured.
third temple that's about?
Some people believe that the
King Cyrus,
third temple is not like even a physical building. They interpret it like Jesus will put a temple there when it's time for a temple. But there are other places, like there's this, what's it called? The Temple Institute, maybe? The Temple Institute believe in it so strongly that the Bible predicts it and it will come to pass, that they've already got like ritually prepared pure linens, and they've got plans laid out. They got the rabbis' clothes. They got everything ready to go. So when someone says, we're building the third temple, they can roll it all out, and they pray over it. They bless it. They keep it pure and, free from sin, and everything's stored and ready to fucking go. If you grew up in like a super fire and brimstone, apocalyptic style church, I guarantee you've heard about the third temple and the blood red calves and the sacrifice and rebuild. And it's those dirty Muslims that took it from us. I don't know. It's crazy. Actually, let's do this. we'll get some history in here.
After the Six-Day War, Israelis embarked on a project to excavate the Western Wall tunnels. The opening of the northern exit, which leads to Jerusalem's Muslim quarter, enraged Palestinians and sparked a riot that led to 80 deaths. Also known as the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall is...
Right now what sits there is the Dome of the Rock. Right? The Islamic shrine, the Dome of the Rock, which is a holy place to them as well. It's like two different religions have the exact same holy place.
Holiest site in Judaism. Divided into two areas, one for men and one for women, the site attracts Jewish people from around the world. Non-Muslims can only gain access to the Temple Mount complex through the Mughrabi Bridge, a wooden structure that was meant to be used temporarily. The Dome of the Rock is a shrine that commemorates the foundation stone, which is sacred to Jews and Muslims. The former believe the stone marks the place where the world was created, while the latter say the Prophet Muhammad rose to heaven on a horse.
So you guys have, oh, here's something. You guys have heard of the Wailing Wall, right? Like even Trump wore a yarmulke and ran over and put his hand on the Wailing Wall. Jared Kushner, you know, all of them. All the Republicans that are trying to claim to be like fucking religious all go to the Wailing Wall. The Wailing Wall is at the base of the Temple Mounts. It's the Western Wall, some people call it. It is supposedly the last remaining wall of the second temple, right? The temple's been rebuilt twice, and they're wanting to rebuild the third temple. So when you hear people talk about the Wailing Wall, or you see that picture of the people, they'll be wearing a little yarmulke and they'll have their hand on a wall and it'll look like they're praying. Hold on. That's the same place they're talking about. It's really weird right here. It's really weird. It's strange that these two gigantic religions both consider this like their holy site. So that's the Western Wall of what they believe is the only thing left from the second temple. Built around 19 BCE by King Herod as part of the expansion of the second temple. It is considered the closest spot to the Holy of Holies. The name originated from the tradition Arabic term el-Mabka, a place of weeping, referring to centuries of mourning Jews over the destruction of their temples. It serves as an open-air synagogue. This is as close as you can get and legally pray as a Jewish person, because right now the Islam controls the rock, the Dome of the Rock.
This rock. 200 meters away from the Dome of the Rock, Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third holiest site in Islam.
Yes, and they'll probably be fighting over it forever. What is this? Is this one? I was trying to get like a video just kind of breaks down what's going on, but all these are probably shitty AI videos.
The wall. After 2,000 years, summarize the Israeli-Palestinian conflict concisely.
This like, I know this sounds silly if you're not like super religious, and it's silly to me, but this like drives like assassinations and murders and bombings and shit in the past. Like, this is a big fucking deal if you're Orthodox Jewish or you're, you're part of the Islam religion. This is a big fucking deal. Both religions.
The most potent symbol of the conflict, this place right behind me wins, hands down. Palestinians call it the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Jews know it as the Temple Mount. It's the holiest site in Judaism and the third holiest site in Islam.
You guys remember when Trump moved the U.S. Embassy for the capital or whatever back to Jerusalem and shit? That was all part of this.
Which makes it some of the most contested real estate in the world. It's every ancient stone used as proof, either of Israeli or Palestinian legitimacy. So who actually owns this land? And how did this site become the biggest flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Who owns the Temple Mount?
Place encapsulates Jerusalem's turbulent history, quite like the Temple Mount.
So Trump recognized Jerusalem, even though that's a really contested city, as the capital of Israel by moving our embassy there. When before it was all Tel Aviv, right? Tel Aviv, wholly owned and operated by the Jewish people. Well, Jerusalem's a really contested city, and he moves the embassy there as if we now recognize that the Jews control the whole city, which just raises tensions across the board. And there was no need for it. It was just Israel was basically lobbying for it. That's it.
Whose iconic golden dome has come to define the city's skyline. This is where the stories and hopes and aspirations of three faiths converge.
It is cool, this huge complex. That's cool. I'd like to see it one day. I've never been there.
But if everyone claims it as their own, who does it really belong to? To answer that, we have to start at the beginning. And I mean the beginning.
I don't have a religion or believe in religion. I think it's all bullshit, but I do like fucking like ancient fucking architecture and shit.
In Jewish tradition, the large flat stone in the middle of the Temple Mount complex is the center of the universe. This is where God breathed life into Adam, where Abraham nearly sacrificed his son, and where the Israelite king Solomon dedicated a temple to God 3,000 years ago. Temples were a dime a dozen in the ancient world, but not for the Jews, who had a single portable temple known as the Mishkan, which had been with them for hundreds of years since their wanderings in the desert after leaving Egypt. Solomon wanted to turn that portable temple into a permanent temple that could draw pilgrims from all over. See, at that time, the Israelites were the world's only monotheists, and their beautiful temple served as excellent PR for the one true God. So the king invested considerable resources to make the Jewish temple the destination for pilgrims of all nations. Solomon got his wish. Emperors and kings flocked to Jerusalem with offerings and gifts, and weapons, and imperial ambitions, and violence. Now it's starting to sound like the Jerusalem we're used to hearing about. For 400 years, Solomon's temple served as Judaism's focal point. Its fame extended to the distant corners of Europe and Africa. If Jerusalem was a prize situated at the crossroads of Asia and Africa, then the temple was its crown jewel. Here's the thing about prizes though, everyone wants one, including the Neo-Babylonians, who set their sights on Jerusalem in 6th century BCE. The Jews weren't jazzed about submitting to a larger empire, but the Neo-Babylonians didn't take kindly to being denied. They sacked Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and hauled off huge numbers of Judeans into exile. But then something amazing happened. The Persian ruler Cyrus the Great rose to power and allowed the Jews to return to their homeland and rebuild their temple. 71 years after the first temple's destruction, the second temple was open for business. Like its predecessor, the second temple was magnificent, especially once the Roman puppet king Herod started expansions in the 1st century BCE.
He expanded the temple.
Didn't last very long, because history repeats. Another empire had
so many times has it been conquered and torn down and rebuilt and
its eye on Judea. And just as they had before, the Jews refused to submit. So in 70 CE, the Romans borrowed from the Babylonian playbook, burning Jerusalem, destroying the temple, and deporting Judeans to Rome in chains. In a final insult, the Romans used the Temple Mount as a garbage dump, literally. The Jews' holiest place, reduced for centuries to a heap of trash. All that was left of the...
I did hear an explosion reported at the embassy in Oslo. I saw that on a news ticker.
This great temple included sections of the retaining walls. A small part of the western retaining wall became a site of Jewish pilgrimage and prayer, a symbol of both Jewish pride and Jewish tragedy. Why did Jews flock there? Why worship among refuse and ruins? Because it was never about the wall. The wall was merely the closest the Jews could get to the foundation stone, the holiest place on earth.
They already said it was like minor damage, a loud bang. I don't know that it was a bomb. It wasn't a very effective bomb.
So what changed? Who built this gorgeous dome behind me? That would be the Muslims. The holiest site in Islam is Mecca, which is a smooth 17-hour road trip if we get in the car right now. But the Prophet Muhammad didn't drive. According to Muslim tradition, he made the journey from Mecca to Jerusalem in a single night on the back of a magical winged creature called the Buraq. And from there, he ascended to heaven to meet and pray with the other prophets. So yeah, this site is a big deal for Muslims too. Islam spread quickly through the Levant. And by
they believe their guy ascended to heaven from there. From the rock and talk to the other prophets or whatever.
7th century, the Holy Land was part of the growing Arab Empire. To commemorate Muhammad's night journey, the Umayyad Caliph built this beautiful shrine behind me, right on top of where the Jewish temple's innermost sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, had once stood, the center of the universe for Jews, the place where all three Abrahamic faiths agree that Abraham nearly sacrificed his son. Speaking of the Abrahamic faiths, you might have noticed I've been pretty silent about our other cousins, the Christians. So what's their relationship to the site? Roughly 500 years after Muhammad's night journey, Christian crusaders marched from Europe to take back.
I mean, yeah, at first, but eventually, you know, even the Roman Empire converted to fucking Christianity, you know what I mean?
Holy Land from the Muslims. When the Crusaders encircled Jerusalem in 1099, the city's Muslims and Jews banded together to hold off the threat. But the Crusaders won the day, slaughtering thousands of Jews and Muslims.
This is what all the white nationalists get hard on, right? They believe they're modern-day crusaders, like Pete Hegseth with his tattoos and shit. They believe they're modern-day crusaders because we've been fighting, you know, Muslim people for so long. They're modern day crusaders bringing Jesus Christ and Christianity to destroy the, you know, the enemies of our religion, blah, 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 blah. When we have wars in the Middle East. This is why they're saying it's a holy war. This is why they're saying it'll bring in the fucking Armageddon and the second coming and all that shit. And he's got crusader tattoos. I don't know. It was when I was in the military where we had been fighting fucking Muslims and Islamic people for so fucking long. That was like a narrative that was spreading around. To be like, oh, we're modern day crusaders and blah, 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 whatever.
turned their holy sites into churches, including this one. And the Al-Aqsa Mosque, right there, for 88 years it served as the headquarters of the Knights Templar, but the Crusaders didn't hold Jerusalem for long. In 1187, Salah ad-Din routed the Christian forces, and the Temple Mount has been in Muslim hands ever since. Well, sort of. Because last I checked...
Not in their book. In their books, the Crusaders are their only guys, the only good guys that exist.
The Temple Mount is in Jerusalem, the capital of the Jewish state, which brings us back to today. So who owns it now? Muslims or Jews? Like everything in the Middle East, it's complicated. Jews have been praying at the base of the Western Wall for 2,000 years. But as Jews returned to their homeland in the 1900s, Muslim authorities did their best to restrict Jewish access to the wall. Clerics whipped up their people with lies, claiming that the Jews were planning to take over and destroy Muslim holy sites. In August of 1929, after months of incitement, Arab mobs descended on the Jews of Jerusalem, Hebron, and Sfat, massacring and mutilating over 133 Jews. The fight over this holy site has powered this conflict ever since. After Israel declared independence in May of 1948,
a big fucking deal.
Came calling, confident that they could stamp the tiny new state out of existence. As we know, they failed. But the old city, including the Jewish quarter, fell to the Jordanians, who pointedly ignored that pesky clause in the ceasefire agreement that guaranteed Jews access to their religious sites. From 1948 to 1967, no Jew could approach the Western Wall. All that changed when tensions exploded in 1967. The resulting war was brief, but it permanently altered the Middle East. Within 6 days, Israel dramatically expanded its borders
Six-day war.
Control of the old city. No Israeli alive then will ever forget the IDF Chief of Staff Motto Gur's announcement. The Temple Mount is in our hands. My uncle Yoram was there that day. He had the honor of hanging the Israeli flag above the Western Wall on the Temple Mount. And he wasn't the only one overcome with joy. Within a week, 250,000 Jews had flocked to the wall. After 2,000 years of waiting...
What is it they call it where if you basically have any Jewish heritage, that you can go on the Jewish trip where they pay all your shit and they send you and they wine and dine you in Israel? What's that called?
The Temple Mount was once again under Jewish control. Or was it?
Birthright. Birthright? Is that what it's called?
The world weren't too happy with the prospect of Jews controlling the Temple Mount. Plus, Jewish law has quite a lot to say about who's allowed to enter the complex and where they're allowed to go. Even in the days of the temples, ordinary Jews were barred from entering certain
not pilgrimage
areas. This hadn't been an issue for 2,000 years. With the Temple Mount in Jewish hands once more, Israeli authorities had some decisions to make. The miraculous victory of 1967 had opened up a whole new world of complexity. Ultimately, Jewish tradition and Muslim pressure prevailed, and since 1967, Jews have not been allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. The only Jews regularly allowed on the sacred complex are soldiers and other security personnel. And for good reason. The mere hint of a change in the status quo can and has set the entire country ablaze. I've seen that tension firsthand. For almost 3 years, I served as a border policeman in the Israeli army.
So when they're talking about rebuilding the third temple, this is what they're talking about. And there are groups that are literally, all they do is try to lobby and do this and do that to try to provoke some type of action, whether it's a war or a U.S. president coming in or somebody stepping in. They don't give a fuck. As long as they get that area, they want it. They want it to be theirs, and they want to rebuild the fucking temple there. Some people don't even believe it has anything to do with like apocalyptic second coming or Christ shit. They just want it. It's their spot. They'll do anything for it.
The Temple Mount and its surrounding neighborhoods. Under the leadership of my commanding officer, an Arab Muslim from Haifa, my unit protected worshippers of all ethnicities and faiths. Along with these innocent pilgrims, we were attacked too many times. But even the ugliest violence can't detract from the holiness of this place. As I know all too well, Israeli forces...
DNA tests are not banned in Israel.
...can enter the Temple Mount at any time for security reasons. But control and maintenance of the site ultimately rests with a Jordanian-funded Muslim trust known as the Jerusalem Islamic Waqf, which means that Judaism's holiest site is under the third holiest site in Islam, located in a territory controlled by Israel and entrusted to a Muslim religious organization that's funded by another country. Simple, right? Shocking that there's been any controversy here. The Waqf...
They even use them to verify lineage for immigration status.
Israeli authorities have had some pointed disagreements over the years about everything from archaeological research to the presence of metal detectors.
Uh-oh.
For example, in
Stay safe, Jen.
Waqf decided to build an emergency exit in one of the mosques on the Temple Mount. Sounds fine, right? Safety first. Except they used bulldozers to clear an area 4 stories deep into the ground, carting away literal tons of soil embedded with ancient artifacts. As Israeli historian Eyal Meron put it, a toothbrush would be too large for brushing that soil, and they did it with bulldozers. You can guess what happened next. Jews accused the Waqf of destroying archaeological evidence of the ancient Jewish presence on the site. The Waqf's chief archaeologist responded by snapping, "Every stone is a..."
He's trying to say Jews without saying Jews. a bunch of anti-Semitic tropes in the chat.
Muslim development. If anything was destroyed, it was Muslim heritage. The controversy encapsulates the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with the Temple Mount serving as shorthand for each side's legitimacy, a symbol of the worst kind of zero-sum thinking. It's like everyone is afraid to admit that the other side might have a historical claim or connection to the site, as though admitting someone else's connection somehow takes away from the validity of your own. Under that all-or-nothing mentality, there's literally no such thing as compromise. You're either a winner or you're a loser, and no one wants to be a loser, especially in the Middle East. That's why so many Palestinians refuse to admit that Jews have a claim to the site, ignoring mountains of historical evidence. In 1929, a Waqf historian wrote that it was beyond dispute that the Temple Mount was the site of Solomon's temple. Yet in 2010, the Palestinian Authority released a study claiming that the Kotel wasn't a Jewish holy site at all, but a part of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Here's a quote: "This wall was never part of the so-called Temple Mount, but Muslim tolerance allowed for the Jews to stand in front of it and weep over its destruction." Nice, right? Do these guys write textbooks? I could stand here and laugh at the PA's blatant attempt to erase the inconvenient.
This guy clearly has a very Israel spin on it.
In fact, the Jewish presence here predates the Arab Empire's conquest of Jerusalem by well over 2,000 years. But the PA's rhetoric, just like the rhetoric that incited the massacres of 1929, trickles down to ordinary folk.
That's right.
With violent consequences. Today, Muslims and non-Muslims alike refer to the entire complex, not just the Al-Aqsa Mosque, as Al-Aqsa. These three syllables have served as a rallying cry, inciting Muslims against Jews. It's all Al-Aqsa. One young Arab man.
This leads to a lot of the conflict, especially around Jerusalem. And then Israel's really shitty to a lot of fucking people.
During the 11-day war between Israel and Hamas in May of 2021. It's all Al-Aqsa. There it is. The whole conflict stuffed into one 35-acre complex. So who owns the Temple Mount? I think that under the politics, under the wars, under the fighting, every Jew and every Arab would agree that there's only one true owner. But in the absence of a sign from heaven, it's our responsibility to figure out how to share this holy space.
Like the fucking the shit that happens in Golan Heights and the West Bank and shit. Like so much horrible shit happens there every goddamn day, dude. But that's what they're talking about when they talk about rebuilding the temple. They're talking about the Temple Mount, Solomon's Temple, the Wailing Wall or the Western Wall, whatever you want to call it. All the people holding their hand up against the wall, wearing the yarmulke. That's what all that's about. It is definitely a side of contention with everything that's going on for sure. Let's talk about recession.
So theoretically, 3 weeks is the amount of time the Strait of Hormuz can be closed before we go into a global economic recession. And at that point, people believe that is when the world would basically go to the Strait of Hormuz and physically open it back up with militaries from all over the world. Because at that point, factories and grids around the world are starting to just shut down. The countries are running out of diesel. Refineries are having to throttle way down. Let's not forget 20% of the world's LNG also goes through the strait. A lot of countries in Asia would just be blacked out because there'd be no power generation left. It would be very spotty at best just for the government. Basically what I'm saying is all of the worst possible things, the doomsday scenario where the world basically begins to shut down, happens in week 3. Now, it takes a while for militaries to get their stuff to the strait. So if, like, by the end of next week, a lot of random countries are just randomly sending, military stuff to the Strait of Hormuz, that's why. Because by the time they get there and put a stop to it, that's the time that the global economy will be completely crashing. Thanks. So theoretically...
So it might pop off some type of weird coalition just to open the strait up. Not to have anything to do with the Iranian war, but just to open the strait up.
Can you explain what force majeure means that Kuwait Petroleum just declared? Sure, it relieves them of any and all obligations to deliver on their contracts. This is a very common clause in the energy industry, and what this does is it relieves the company that's declaring it of any of their obligations. It relieves them of any penalties. Basically, they're not liable for any of their responsibilities in a contract anymore, and they can't be sued. So basically, they can't produce oil anymore, and they are contractually obligated to deliver a lot of oil to a lot of people. Now, this is normally like an act of God type thing, natural disaster type thing. In this case, it's an act of Trump type thing. Yeah. I wonder if they'll put that on the paperwork.
An act of Trump.
Yeah. Another thing to look out for if you see Breaking news of someone declaring force
Oh, the New York City financier? Never heard of him.
majeure. Immediately look at oil prices because they're going to skyrocket. Because the second that happens, everyone that they're supposed to deliver oil to immediately starts looking elsewhere for that oil. And it turns into this huge bidding war. This is another one of the levers that allows oil prices to just go parabolic. Oh, also another thing, don't forget to do that thing with your clocks, whatever. Yeah, that's tonight. Yeah, thanks. Can you explain what force majeure means that Kuwait Petroleum just...
Where are the Ashkenazi people from? The Rhineland, France, that area, I think, is when Ashkenazi first pops up.
It's really pretty simple for you to determine how much your local gas station is earning on a gallon of gas to see
Eastern Europe
price gouging, because everyone is accusing gas stations of price gouging. Now, my gasoline comes from the Gulf Coast. I know that. So the wholesale price is $2.33 a gallon. And guess what?
There's something to do with Ashkenazi. Even has like a German word that it's related to, that, or it's the Hebrew word for the German land, something like that.
Live is $2.99 a gallon. Simply Google or ask ChatGPT or whoever what the total is of your state and federal gas taxes where you live.
They have a sticker on our pumps where I think we're paying like 50 cents a gallon. And like there's a sticker on our pump that says something federal taxes, something this state tax, this road tax, this something tax is like 50 cents or something. I remember when I was little, it used to be 49.5. When I first started pumping gas, I'd read the gas pump. It used to be 49.5 cents and tax per gallon.
Where I live, that's 38.4 cents a gallon. You simply add that 38.4 cents to that $2.33 wholesale price. That comes out to $271.4, which means my station is making about 17.5 cents a gallon on a gallon of gas. That's definitely not price gouging.
Let's check Wikipedia. Ashkenazi Jews, also known as Ashkenazi Jews, Ashkenazis, Ashkenazim, form a distinct subgroup of the Jewish diaspora. The group traces its origin back to the Holy Roman Empire, originating from the Jewish communities who lived in 10th century in the German Rhineland Valley and in neighboring France before gradually migrating eastwards following the Crusades, facing persecution in Western Europe, particularly following the Black Death in the 14th century. The bulk of Ashkenazi Jews then migrated to the Kingdom of Poland at the encouragement of Casimir III the Great and his successor, making Poland the main center of Ashkenazi Jewry until the Holocaust.
Find out where your gas comes from, add the state and federal taxes, subtract it from what you're paying. It's really that simple.
And you'll get the wholesale price.
Thanks. So theoretically,
we just watched this one.
Do we get a revision on that no chance of $150 a barrel oil assertion? Well, no. One, because if you remember in the video, what I was talking about was people saying that oil was going to go to $130 this week. That was last Monday.
The Ashkenazi people are no less Jewish than any other Jewish people, right? They just developed their own traditions from being separated, and it's just a different sect of the church. Look how many versions of Christianity there is.
And I said there's no predicting oil and gas prices in this situation because it's never happened before. But
where does the 7-day Advent come from? Like, fuck.
Not going to see $130 oil this week. And the week's over and it didn't happen. So no need for that. I've said repeatedly, this is a time-sensitive thing. As time goes on, this will get worse and worse and worse. And that's exactly what's happened. And it's happening a little faster than I even thought it would. And sometimes I wonder why I'm so careful with my words on the internet, because when I say the words could eventually happen, people hear absolutely will happen tomorrow. But since people want to know, could oil hit $150? Absolutely it could. Absolutely. And a week ago, I would have said maybe 5 or 10% chance of that happening. Today, probably 30 or 40% chance of that happening. Because it's become apparent that the Trump administration has...
I can't believe Joe Biden would drive oil prices to $150 a barrel. What is he thinking?
No capacity to understand how what they say in public impacts oil prices. When they say this can last for months, that impact...
When the dumb motherfucker is like, this could last for months. What do you think that's going to do to oil prices?
oil prices. When they say they don't care about gas prices, that impacts oil prices. Markets are very sensitive to what they hear from leadership. And when the leadership doesn't seem to give a shit or have any good plans to bring down oil prices, that's when they really take off. And that's what we saw today. Thanks. Do we get a revision on that no chance of $150 a barrel oil assertion? Well, no. Well, it is happening. It's happening about a week sooner than I thought it would, but here we go. Yes, oil is over $92 a barrel. I thought it would take another week at least to get here, but of course, Donald Trump came out and said nothing short of unconditional surrender for Iran. It didn't occur to him what that would make oil.
I think he said that again.
Considering countries in the Middle East will fight wars for thousands of years without surrendering. And just so you know, $90 oil typically means $4 gas. Now, gas is $3.32 today on a national average. I don't know if it'll jump all the way to $4 on Monday, but probably by Tuesday, Wednesday for sure. If these prices hold, we're going to be seeing $4 gas on a national average, diesel over $5 on a national average. And as I said, markets basically believe that there's nothing the Trump administration can do about this at this point, and that's why it's just going parabolic. I think the question now is how fast does it get to 100? If it keeps going at the rate it's going.
Trump wants them to come to him to talk, and so he can put a spin on it. They surrendered. He was the only president that could ever do it. They're not going to have whether they do or not, that everything's going to change, everything's going to be better, everything, blah, 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 and they'll sign some stupid peace deal that doesn't say any of that. But he'll be able to say that he was the only, every president's wanted to do it. I'm the only one that could get it done. We got a deal done. We did this. Peace in the Middle East. And that they're not going to do nuclear weapons, whether they hold to this or not, whether Trump even holds to his side or not. He just wants that, right? He wants them to capitulate to him so he can run with it.
It could be by the end of the day, honestly. Thanks. Well, it is.
I think that's about it. Caught up on Mr. Global. All right, let's go here. By the way, the entire world, basically, at this point, has come out to condemn and say that, from what they can tell, the strike on the U.S. school was absolutely the U.S. and Israel. Yeah, the 100%. It doesn't look like it was faked. It doesn't look like it was a failed Iranian missile. It looks like the U.S., not intentionally, obviously, but still, looks like a U.S. munitions hit the school.
Any questions? President Trump did what you just mentioned.
Yeah. Shout out to Kaz. Hope he's all right.
Going ahead with this war, are we winning the ground in the Middle East? We're winning the war by a lot. We've decimated their whole evil empire. It'll continue, I'm sure, for a little while. But I'm very proud of the people, the parents. The parents were so proud of their boy, as they call him, my boy. The young lady. The parents are so proud. Many of them are military parents, as you know. So but it's always a very sad thing. The war itself is going unbelievably. It's as good as it can be. We have Pete here.
It's so weird how he wants other people, like reporters and shit. Like he was on a phone call interview with a reporter the other day, and he wants the reporter so bad to talk about how good the war's going. He wants the reporter to say, "Oh my God, no one ever thought you could do this, and how quickly you've done it, and it's amazing. You're such a," like he just craves all these fucking compliments. It's crazy.
Steve Witkoff here. We have some additional questions.
You're 1 week in now, sir. You're 1 week in at this point. How long, as of now, do you expect?
Well, I think we've accomplished more in 1 week than anyone thought possible. We've wiped out their Navy, 44 ships. We've wiped out their Air Force, every plane. We've wiped out most of their missiles. You see the missiles?
Yeah, Iran's now claiming they have U.S. hostages. I don't know that that's true. They have claiming U.S. soldiers as hostages. I don't think that's true, but that's what they're saying.
Aren't coming much anymore. We've also hit the manufacturing areas where they make the missiles very hard. Their drone capacity is way down. And we've hurt them where it hurts. Including about every form of leadership you can have, we've wiped out.
You still expect up to 6 weeks total?
I don't know. I never reject that, whatever it takes. But the
this is almost like a check on this like ego box. Like I do think he is concerned with dying. I think he's concerned with the legacy he leaves behind. And this is something that he can say, like he's doing right now, right? 47 years, every president's wanted to do it. None of them had the balls, or none of them could, or none of them could pull it off, or none of them could make the deal that I did. None of them can blah, 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 blah. That's why he wants to do Trump RX. That's why he wants to do Trump's very good health care plan. That's why he renegotiated NAFTA, and then his very next administration complained about whoever negotiated the new NAFTA. Like, he just wants his name, the same way he does with his hotels, his name plastered on the side of it. Trump something, Trump care, Trump RX, Trump very good health care plan, Trump accounts for your babies, Trump, board of peace, Trump. He's got to have that constantly. And you have to be an insecure person to need that all the fucking time, right?
Guts to do it. You're worried you're going to end up coming back to Dover for more of these such dignified transfers.
Sure, I hate to do it, but it's a part of war, isn't it?
Mr.
Who are you with?
The Washington Post.
When you say it's a part of war?
Deaths are part of war.
War.
You're going to end up coming back to Dover for more.
Been done for 47 years. 47 years it's taken to do this, and no president had the guts to do it.
No president had the guts to do it. 47 years.
You're worried you're going to end up coming back to Dover for more of these such dignified transfers.
Okay, so I didn't hear the question. That's why I rewound. He's saying, are you worried you'll have to come back for more of these transfers of the body of soldiers?
Sure, I hate to do it, but it's a part of war, isn't it?
Mr.
Who are you with?
The Washington Post.
When you say it's a part of war?
Deaths are part of war,
Yeah, it's part of war. It's a sad part of war. It's the bad part of war.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran in the first?
All right, so there's the question. Did they bomb this school? I think I did see a judge had talked about the refunds for it was the Corps of International Trade. But I also saw that U.S. Customs is already proactively working on a system saying you don't have to sue us. We're working on a system to claim and get your refund, which is wild because a lot of people in Trump's administration is going to benefit from that because they bought up all these fucking tariff receipts and now they're getting money back, fucking 10x in their money that they bought all these tariffs from other countries or other companies. That's wild.
No, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Now the whole world is saying the U.S. or Israel, the U.S. forces with Israeli forces, they hit it, right? It's not a bombing by Iran. It's not a failed missile that fell back down. Blah, blah. It was probably knocked off target or something from air defense or this, that, or maybe bad targeting, something. It wasn't intentional. It's not like we went and been like, fuck that school, right? There's a base there, and we accidentally hit a school. Trump's like, nope, from what I've seen, it was them.
Is that true, Mr. Nixon? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
So even Hegseth is like, well, we're investigating, but, they're the only side that targets civilians.
Done by Iran. Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their
targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done by Iran. Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
Can you give us an idea of what unconditional surrender looks like to you? I mean, what do you want from Iran?
They didn't have bad data or bad coordinates. That's dumb.
Unconditional.
The dumbest thing you probably fucking said since you've been in chat.
I said unconditional. It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer, there's nobody around to cry uncle. That too, because we've wiped out their leadership numerous times already. So it's if they surrender, or if there is nobody around to surrender, but they're rendered useless in terms of military.
Mr. President, can I ask you? I asked you a question yesterday. You said it wasn't the right time and not a bad, but is supporting Iran somehow in this.
No, I haven't had that. I haven't had no indication of that whatsoever. If they are, they're not doing a very good job because Iran
Nope. I think I said pretty fucking clearly what I said. I don't know why you would rephrase my statement.
You know, the ship's choices, but we haven't cleaned out. We've wiped out their Navy. The Navy is now at the bottom of the sea. So that's the choice. This is an excursion. We figured oil prices would go up, which they will. They'll also come down. They'll come down very fast, and we will have gotten rid of a major cancer on the face of the earth. We will have taken out a cancer. Don't forget October 7th. Don't forget all of the things that have happened over the years, all caused by these people. So what we're doing is a great thing, not only for our country and not only for Israel, not only for the Middle East, but for the world.
Secretary Bessent announced some moves to temporarily allow certain Russian oil sales to India. Are you considering any other moves, including the SPR?
Well, if there were some, I would do it just to take a little of the pressure. But I think that the oil pressure, but there's a lot of oil. We've got a lot of oil. Our country has a tremendous amount, and there's a lot of oil out there. That'll get healed very quickly.
Would you consider using the SPR or tapping into the SPR at some point?
Strategic reserve?
Yeah.
Well, I'm the one that built them up. Biden used them so that he could get some extra votes in the election.
Yeah, so it looks like it was probably air munitions that got off target. We don't know if there was air delivered munitions. We don't know if it was some type of air defense system engaged it. Outside the drop envelope, you know, fuck a sudden breeze come through. A lot of things if it was dropped from a fucking airplane, a lot of things could have happened. Hold on, I'll show you. It seems like we were probably on a strafe run or whoever here, right? These are our targets. These are all the damaged structures. This is all a base here. And the school is right there. The school is actually this building. But it was hit by, it looks like it was hit by simultaneous, at least two different weapons almost at the same time here. And of course the base was hit as well. It was off target somewhere. We didn't have bad data. We didn't have bad coordinates. They were striking this. Either we missed an envelope, something affected munitions. Munitions could have been bad or damaged somehow, especially if an air defense system went off. It was let go too late, drifted off target, whatever. But this is the primary target. And something clearly happened there. But that's the satellite images. We've got a near total destruction of this area, and then it looks like two munitions blew up over here. One basically at the opening, and then one right at the entrance, and then one right fucking on top of the building.
It turned out it wasn't even him that ran, it was Kamala, and she obviously didn't get any extra votes because we won in an absolute landslide. He shouldn't have used it for that. He used it I filled it up.
When you suggest bad coordinates, bad data, or whatever, you're suggesting that people that we have fucking there for the last year embedded that have been doing nothing but watching this fucking base were like, oh, that school with a bunch of little schoolgirls in it? Yep, definitely a military target. Here's the grid. How copy, over? Get the fuck out of here.
He brought it down to the lowest level it's ever been. We will start at the appropriate time, which is basically a gun.
And to assume we either had bad coordinates or we targeted on purpose just shows how fucking dumb you are. I was already on the fence about all your fucking retarded ass goddamn comments. Now I'm over the fence at the neighbor's house.
We will start filling up these strategic reserves.
What are the circumstances where you send in?
It's almost like you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't even want to talk about it. I don't think it's an appropriate question. You know, I'm not going to answer it.
Air defense systems can knock. They don't always destroy whatever they're engaging with, right? Especially advanced munitions and not so advanced air defense systems, right? They can knock shit off course. It can fucking fall out of the sky and hit a goddamn house or whatever.
Could there be? Possible, for very good reason. Have to be very good reason. And I would say if we ever did that, they would be so decimated that they wouldn't be able to fight.
we do have smart munitions that make corrections. They can only make so many corrections, right? If for some reason they fucking lose a fin or get dropped too late or dropped too low or dropped out of this envelope or there's a fucking 80-mile-an-hour wind, you never know what could fucking, you can only make so many corrections, especially when we're fucking low and fast, right? Fast movers coming in because of their air defense systems. You only have enough, you can only correct so much, depending on your altitude.
At the ground level. What do you think about the oil facility? There's some oil.
I've called for fire a shit ton of times, and man, have I been off sometimes, or been dead on, asked for fucking repeat, and one set goes fucking 100 yards that way, and the next set's right on target.
Facility kind of on the coast of Iran that could be secured by ground troops. There's been some speculation that could be.
I don't know what the speculation is, but I certainly wouldn't be able to tell you that. I'd be in trouble with myself if I told you that.
Mr. President, do you need ground troops to secure the enriched uranium at the nuclear sites?
To find out about that.
God damn, everybody's tired of you, bro.
It was a total obliteration. They haven't been able to get to it. And at some point, maybe we will. That'd be a great thing. But right now, we're just decimating them. But we haven't gone after it. But
the point is, own it. The point is, own it. It's damaged munition. It was engaged by their air defense system. It was something. It drifted off target. It was a very successful strike. Other than that, but that was part of it. Don't when the whole world is saying, yeah, this was U.S. munitions, say, I think it was them. I think they did it to themselves.
I think we could do later on. If we wouldn't do it, we wouldn't do it now. Maybe we'd do it later.
Do you want to be involved in the selection of the next leader of Iran?
Call it collateral damage, call it an accident, call it whatever you want, but you got to own it at this point.
Well, because I don't want to just come back every 10 years, and mostly you'll have presidents, that won't do that.
Right. We're going to investigate it to the fullest extent. We'll find out what happened. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again if it was something we did.
They don't get it. But we don't want to come back every 5 years or every 10 years and do this.
Oh, we had wrong data, wrong coordinates. For real? That's what you think? You think that we've had somebody there monitoring this base day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a fucking year, and they looked up and saw an all-girls school one day and thought, that's part of the base. Let me send those coordinates in. How copy, over? Fucking retard.
I want to pick a president that's not going to be leading their country into a war. Do you have any questions for Pete or Steve? Come on up. Mr. Whitlock? Steve, come on up.
Is there still space to do a deal with whatever is left of the Iranian government?
I think there is. I think that's going.
Crazy. The best audio we have still has this blaring fucking airplane noise, and we're listening on a goddamn iPhone.
To be up to the president. That's what I think.
We can't get like some goddamn noise canceling or something here.
Be very amenable in those first set of negotiations. You heard what I said.
Right. I don't think people that have ever maybe served in that capacity in the military or seen how precise a strike is or seeing a fucking grid coordinates, a call for fire or whatever, would know all the checks and balances that like somebody on the ground that's been observing this for probably over a year, right? Israel has people in there. There's no way that we got all these locations without people there, right? We got all this satellite images. We got people that we paid off. We know everything about them. We've got all this fucking intelligence. And how many people are going to check these targets before they fire? Like, the checks and balances just in the military is fucking astronomical that we would be like, oh, that was a school? We thought that was a military base. Ha, ha, ha.
They said we have the inalienable right to enrich. They brag about having 60% enriched fuel enough for 11 bombs. They told me and Jared, we're not going to give you diplomatically what you couldn't take militarily. So, I think they're going to need a change of attitude.
What sort of thing do you want to see in a deal? I mean, do you think we have maximum negotiating leverage at this point?
I think the president has proved that we have.
Iran today accused the U.S. of hitting.
A lot of negotiating leverage, maybe maximum, but we're not looking to settle. They'd like to settle. We're not looking to settle.
Wickoff.
Has now offered use of the
Steve Witkoff, special envoy to the Middle East. He said they told him and Jared Kushner when they asked about, apparently he says they have enough, and he claims they had enough uranium for 11 bombs, and they asked about it in the peace negotiation. He said, we're not going to give to you diplomatically what you couldn't even take militarily. Like almost like challenging them to like, you couldn't get it if you wanted to kind of deal. I don't know if any of that's true, but that's what he claims.
Did you see my response that I just put out? I just put out a response. You mean the offer to send 2 aircraft carriers? Maybe, but they're not sure. I just put out a response. I said, we don't need them. It's not the right time. It would have been nice to have had them 2 weeks ago, but...
So what he's talking about is this post from 8 hours ago. It says the UK, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. That's okay, Prime Minister Starmer. We don't need them any longer. But we will remember, we don't need people that join wars after we've already won. So even though he claims that they're offering support, which I don't even know if that's true, he claims it. He's also chastising them because it's too fucking late, and we'll remember this.
The response I put out, I think, says it very well for you.
Israel's the biggest violation of fucking trying to keep nukes out of the hands of Israel. Israel lied to us. We literally had an ambassador there on a helicopter tour, and he's looking out over the fucking desert, and he says, that's new. What's that factory over there? And they're like, a chemical plant. Come to find out they're making nuclear weapons there. And we literally asked about it. Our greatest ally, Israel, is the worst of the violations against nuclear weapons. They literally did it while claiming to be our greatest ally, while spying on us, while buying it all up and building nuclear weapons and lying to our fucking faces about it. Israel.
Iran today accused the U.S. of hitting a desalination plant in Iran, and they said that might open the door to other strikes on infrastructure, non-military infrastructure.
Also open the door to other strikes against them.
Let
me tell you about Iran. They are among the most evil people ever on earth. They cut babies' heads off. They chop women in half. What they did, take a look at October 7th. Take a look at what they've done over the last 47 years. So I know nothing about a desalinization plant other than to say if they're complaining about a desalinization plant, we complain about the fact that they shouldn't be chopping babies' heads off, okay?
Mr. Wikoff, have you communicated to the Russians not to send targeting information and other assistance to the Iranians?
Strongly said that.
And do you believe that they are?
I hope they're not.
And do you see any evidence?
We don't know, but it's not doing very well. If they are, it's not helping much. You take a look at what's happened to Iran in the last week. If they're getting information, it's not helping them much.
What would it mean to you if they were, I mean, even if it's not helping the Iranians particularly much, it's still...
Hold on. We're going to learn something today.
September 1979, an American. In the middle of the night, on the 22nd of September 1979, an American satellite, Vela 6911, registered an odd double flash.
Tonight, it appears another nation has joined the nuclear club and has actually exploded a nuclear device.
This right here is the unmistakable fingerprint of a nuclear explosion. But by 1979, nuclear tests like this were banned. Someone had chosen to break that pact with humanity, to test in secret the world's deadliest weapon. Most of the evidence pointed to a joint test between Israel and apartheid South Africa. The Carter administration buried it, and to this day, it's never been officially acknowledged. Today, the world prefers to watch Iran. Western media spins tales of doomsday bombs built in hidden bunkers by rogue Iranian scientists. But the Middle Eastern nuclear threat isn't in Iran, it's in Israel. Israel claims Iran will threaten rivals with nuclear weapons, but Israel has done that. They claim Iran will sell nuclear weapons to oppressive regimes, but Israel has done that. Israeli nuclear policy includes the Samson option. Named after the biblical warrior Samson, who, when captured by the Philistines, tore down the pillars of the building where he was chained, killing himself and his enemies in one final act of destruction. Israel's Samson option vows that if it ever faces an immediate existential threat, it will destroy the entire region along with it, launching...
If it ever faces an existential threat, it'll destroy everything with it.
Its nuclear arsenal indiscriminately. Israel's other nuclear policy is called strategic ambiguity, a diplomatic fiction where
they will not admit or deny or anything what they've got.
Deny its nuclear assets. But it's well known that they possess about 90 to 200 nuclear warheads ready to fire. Israel is one of just 5 countries that refuse to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty.
What? Not our greatest ally.
It refuses to allow in inspectors from the International Atomic Agency.
What? Surely not. And don't call me Shirley.
9 countries have nuclear weapons, but only one of them refuses to admit it. This is the story of how Israel got the bomb and how the world let it happen.
Apparently, the president was secretly super pissed, but did nothing about it. Dimona.
Beginning in April of 1948, 3 Zionist militias, the Haganah, the Irgun, and the Lay, set loose Plan Dalet across Palestine. Plan Dalet called for the destruction of villages, setting fire to, blowing up, and planting mines in the debris, especially those population centers which are difficult to control continuously. And the population must be expelled outside the borders of the state. The Zionist militias wanted as much land as possible with as few Palestinians on it as possible. One order read, "We saw a need to clean out the Inner Galilee and to create a Jewish territorial continuity in the entire area of the Upper Galilee, in order to cause the tens of thousands of sulky Arabs who remained in the Galilee to flee." This was an orchestrated campaign of expulsions and terror that destroyed 500 Palestinian villages and emptied 11 Palestinian cities, driving 800,000 Palestinians from their homes and farms to make way for a Jewish majority state that otherwise could not be assured.
Today, 3.5 years after the cessation of active fighting, the Arabs are still crowded in camps in the countries surrounding Israel. The only acceptable solution of their problem is their immediate return to their former homes in Israel, now generally occupied by Jewish settlers.
The United Nations mandated that Israel let the Palestinian refugees return to their homes. Instead, Israel shot those that tried to return and seized their homes and property. One Israeli report from the 4th of December 1948 stated, "Successful shooting at Palestinians trying to return to the village of Lamia and who..."
It's not a new thing that they've been doing. They literally just shoot people trying to seek help, trying to move, living their lives, trying to return home, doing exactly what they've been told to do.
Attempted to retrieve their belongings. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister and the architect not only of the new state but of the mass displacement that birthed it, had worked with the British Empire for decades and saw how they controlled conquered populations. Just 10 years earlier, the British killed, injured or exiled a 1/6 of the adult male Palestinian population to crush a revolt. Earlier in Gaza in 1917 and later in Iraq in the 1920s and 30s, the British used poison gas to break resistance. Ben-Gurion understood a harsh truth. The Palestinians would never accept their dispossession, and so to secure his new state, he needed to use overwhelming force, what his rival once called an iron wall the natives cannot break through. In April of 1948, Ben-Gurion wrote to an operative in Europe to try and import scientists who could increase the capacity to kill masses. Many of Europe's greatest minds were talented Jewish scientists displaced by the Holocaust, and David Ben-Gurion invited them to Israel. But Israel did not have the capacity to go nuclear alone. It would need an ally, and one old colonial power, its own empire crumbling, was ready to help. France, by the early 1950s, was terrified. The Second World War had wrecked the country, and its colonial empire was unraveling from Vietnam to Algeria. French leaders believed only the atomic bomb could guarantee their independence from the Americans and the Soviets. In the early 1950s, construction began on France's nuclear facility at Marcoule. France had the engineers and the industrial muscle for an atomic program, and they could still extract uranium from their African colonies. But it needed help with physics and especially advanced computing, where Israeli scientists excelled. Israelis became vital to the French nuclear weapons project, and were the only foreigners with access to the Marcoule nuclear complex. France became Israel's primary arms supplier, and as Arab independence movements swept through France's colonies in Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, Israel provided intelligence to help crush them. At the United Nations, Israel voted alongside France to deny these nations their independence. David Ben-Gurion advised Charles de Gaulle to partition Algeria between the French settlers and the native people. This was, in his words, the only definitive solution to the Algerian problem. De Gaulle referred to this plan as a French Israel in Africa. In 1956, France, Britain, and Israel conspired to invade Egypt, whose president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, had nationalized the Suez Canal and was aiding the Algerian struggle for freedom. Israel struck first, launching a surprise invasion of the Sinai, slaughtering civilians in Gaza along the way, and pushing deep into Egyptian territory. The following invasions by the French and the British, two exhausted colonial empires, failed, and international pressure from the United States and the Soviet Union forced the invaders to retreat, leaving behind thousands of dead Arabs. In the aftermath,
greatest ally,
Prime Minister Guy Mollet felt France owed the bomb to Israel. By 1958, Israel began to...
So they feel like they owe this work to Israel now, because they kind of failed on their part.
...work on a nuclear complex in the Negev desert at Dimona. The French agreed to build a 24-megawatt nuclear reactor. They could claim this was for peaceful research, but buried underground was the real prize. A secret 6-story chemical reprocessing...
Look, So they had this facade that it was a, nuclear power and nuclear experiments, medical research. But just like Iran, underground bunkers where they built all their shit at.
This was the real smoking gun. While a nuclear reactor can make energy, a reprocessing plant's only purpose is to turn the reactor's spent fuel into weapons-grade plutonium. That is how you build an atomic bomb. In February of 1960, as France's brutal war in Algeria neared its bloody conclusion, France detonated its first nuclear bomb in Regan, Algeria, with a yield of more than 60 kilotons, 4 times bigger than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. 20,000 meters in the air above, American U-2 spy planes were watching everything unfold, and they noted that there in the desert, alongside the French, stood an Israeli scientific team. This was two nations sharing one nuclear test. Israel now had the blueprints to go nuclear. Since the Second World War, the United States had publicly opposed nuclear proliferation, the spread of nuclear weapons to other countries. So when reports began to trickle in of a strange facility being built in the Negev desert, it started to raise questions. The Israelis told President Eisenhower that it was just a textile factory. The Americans...
A textile factory. They lied. Specifically to the U.S. president. Our greatest ally, remember, our greatest ally, literally the only ally that when we bust their spies within our government, and they're like, clearly you're a spy working for Israel, we just send them back home and tell them they can't come back. Our greatest ally was questioned about this. Our ambassador was there, and he's like, what is that? We don't know what that is. We've seen images of it. Oh, it's a textile factory.
Still upset over Israel's secret military buildup before the 1956 Suez invasion, now kept a close eye on Israel with their U-2 spy planes. What they saw in 1958 was clearly not a textile factory. It was a near carbon copy of the French nuclear plant at Marcoule. From above, the U-2 pilots could see the outlines of what would later be hidden underground. We saw enough to know that it was going to be a chemical reprocessing plant. When the CIA briefed President Eisenhower on the evidence of Israel's nuclear weapons program, he showed no interest and asked no questions. In December of 1960, a New York Times reporter, John Finney, met with John McCone, the chairman of the American Atomic Energy Commission. McCone was furious, telling Finney they lied to us. They told us it was a textile plant. The New York Times broke the story on the 19th of December 1960, 2 years after the U-2 pilots first sounded the alarm. Ben-Gurion dropped the textile plant lie, but claimed that the Dimona nuclear plant was only for peaceful purposes. Inside the American State Department, officials quietly admitted that Americans had most likely paid for the Dimona plant. It is clear—
What? We paid for it too? That's crazy. It's almost like we send them $1 billion a day.
That they have constructed this plant through diversions from private and public aid to Israel. The Eisenhower administration ignored everything. In 1961, as Eisenhower left office, he told Congress that Israel has no plans for the production of atomic weapons. But privately, during a transition meeting with the incoming Kennedy administration in January of 1961, the Eisenhower team revealed that the Israelis were actively trying to produce weapons-grade plutonium. President John F. Kennedy was—
I'm sorry, it's $10.4 million a day. I wildly overestimated that. $10.4 million a day. $10.4 million a day to our greatest ally.
Tougher on nuclear proliferation. In May of 1961, he met with Ben-Gurion, who now claimed that Dimona was for desalination. The Egyptians next door were growing increasingly worried of Israel's nuclear potential. Kennedy began to demand regular inspections of Dimona. Yearly American inspections began in next door were growing increasingly worried of Israel's nuclear potential. Kennedy began to demand—
The Israel sons of bitches lie to me constantly about their nuclear capability. JFK.
Regular inspections of Dimona. Yearly American inspections began in 1962, but only on Israel's terms. American experts were kept away from key areas and were lied to about the reactor's purpose. The Israelis even built a fake control room with displays outputting false readings to—
They built a fake control center to give us fake fucking tours. And this goes into why was JFK assassinated.
Simulate a small 24-megawatt research reactor, which Israel claimed Dimona was. The inspectors were told that they couldn't see the reactor's core for safety reasons. This kept them from noticing that the Dimona reactor was running far hotter than Israel claimed. To hide the massive chemical reprocessing plant buried underground, the Israelis built fake walls and plastered over elevator doors to block access. The lead American inspector, Floyd Culler, left believing that Dimona—
Literally, when our inspectors would come, they would re-drywall and hide the elevators. It wasn't like, oh, we just forgot to tell you, or like, yeah, we kind of told you, you just weren't paying attention. They did everything they could to hide this from us. Our greatest allies.
Was just a standard research reactor, never suspecting what lay buried beneath.
$10,410,958 per day to Israel's defense budget. And them sons of bitches got universal health care.
Years later, he stated vital information was withheld from him. No one had told him that years earlier, American U-2 pilots had photographed the construction of an underground chemical reprocessing plant. In the end, the inspections failed. By 1966, the Dimona plant was complete and feeding plutonium into Israel's secret weapons program. On the 28th of May, 1967, Israel secretly assembled 2 nuclear bombs, codenamed Temple. Israel had just become a nuclear-armed state. A week later, Israel launched a surprise attack on Egypt, starting the Six-Day War. Although the Temple bombs were never used, their existence was an
literally a week after they assembled the bombs, they launched a Six-Day War.
Insurance policy for the surprise attack. 2 bombs weren't enough though. Dimona's plutonium was only a beginning. Building a true nuclear stockpile demanded more raw materials and more technology than Israel could ever produce on their own.
Oh, they also just happened to hit a U.S. Navy technical research ship during the Six-Day War, you know, just because accident.
In the 1960s, far from the desert of the Negev, in Pennsylvania, at the Apollo plant of Nuclear Materials and Equipment Corporation, known simply as NUMEC, at least 200 to 300 kilograms of highly enriched uranium vanished. For years, this was covered up, but decades later, declassified documents and CIA testimony confirmed what many had long suspected. Israel had stolen it. Top Israeli intelligence agents, including Raphael Eitan, famous for the capture of Adolf Eichmann, had visited...
And they literally claim that they have the power to go into other sovereign nations and assassinate. There's tons of assassinations against their nuclear scientists. Like they're in Iran fucking around all the time, assassinating nuclear scientists and people that work at nuclear plants and shit.
Their fake identities. By 1968, U.S. intelligence had quietly noted a word.
They did touch our boat.
Of highly enriched uranium bearing the unique Portsmouth signature from the U.S. government's own Portsmouth gaseous diffusion plant that supplied NUMEC had appeared at Dimona. The issue.
What? They actually stole our nuclear material? Our greatest allies?
Was that Israelis didn't yet have the facilities to enrich uranium. The scandal was buried. As one nuclear official put it, it was one of the most glaring cases of diverted nuclear material, and yet nobody wanted to find out what was going on. The search for the stolen uranium forced NUMEC to exhume radioactive waste burial pits in 1965. Obviously, the material wasn't there, but the cleanup of that operation is set to cost the American taxpayer $350 million. Stealing uranium was only the beginning. Israel didn't just need fuel, it needed hardware. During the 1980s, one Israeli spy network known as LACAM smuggled from the United States hundreds of crytons, which are tiny switches that ignite nuclear bombs. They were smuggled to Israel through a company owned by a LACAM operative, Arnon Milchan, now a billionaire and famous Hollywood producer behind works like Pretty Woman and 12 Years a Slave. He is currently at the center of a massive bribery scandal with Benjamin Netanyahu.
That's wild.
Israel struggled to master...
You're telling me a Jewish guy, a Jewish billionaire, who is actually a secret Jewish Israel spy, is some bigwig in Hollywood? Get out of here. Next, you're going to tell me that they're involved in world finance and banking. Jesus.
Centrifuge technology, the machinery used for uranium enrichment, until 1972 when Milchan's team bribed a German
Where the fuck is Nick Fuentes?
Employee to misplace the blueprints for advanced gas centrifuges temporarily in the vicinity of Milchan. Photographs of these designs suddenly appeared in Israel to boost its program. The same blueprints were stolen by Pakistan's AQ Khan, which is why Israel,
our greatest ally,
and Pakistan's centrifuge designs are near identical. Israel's enrichment technology is also near identical to Iran's, who bought Khan's blueprints. They are so...
Literally, the reactors that they're so mad about in Iran came from Pakistan, which came from Israel, which was stolen from us. Israel stole our plans. They got leaked somehow and sold to Pakistan, and Iran bought them from Pakistan. They have the exact same reactors because it's our plans.
Similar that it is widely believed that Israel was able to test the Stuxnet virus on its own centrifuges before unleashing.
That's how we did Stuxnet in we talked about Stuxnet before, the virus that fucked with their centrifuges or whatever. I would ramp them up and slow them down, and ramp them up and slow them down. It was out of Oak Ridge facility, and it was tested in Israel because they have the same fucking reactors. They have the same centrifuge, they have the same everything.
Unleashing it on Iran. The head of LACAM in the 1980s, Raphael Eitan, was the handler for Jonathan Pollard, a US intelligence agent who sold 500,000 pages of classified American documents to Israel for years. He sold things like the codes to intercept...
Jonathan Pollard is one of the... I don't know if you guys have ever looked this up. Like, one of the biggest fucking crazy American-born Israeli spy and former intelligence analyst who was jailed for spying for Israel. One of the only ones that's been jailed for it. But goddamn, was it egregious. Was it fucking egregious.
American diplomatic communications. The classified information he stole eventually leaked to apartheid South Africa, Pakistan, and the Soviet Union. Pollard now lives in Israel, where he advocates for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. By the 1980s, Israel had needed uranium, triggers, centrifuge designs, and American state secrets. It was about to get an even more powerful asset: total silence from the White House. Because after John F. Kennedy, no American president would ever try to stop Israel's nuclear program again.
Never. And what happened? So John F. Kennedy was the last president to ever try to stop Israel from getting a nuclear weapon. And then I feel like John Fitzgerald Kennedy, wasn't his term cut abruptly short or something? There was something going on when I can't remember. I remember he was president and then suddenly he wasn't. I don't know. I'm sure it'll come to me.
By 1968, CIA Director Richard Helms informed President Lyndon B. Johnson that Israel had successfully built nuclear weapons and trained their pilots on how to drop them. But just as the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, the NPT, was being finalized, which was an agreement aimed at stopping the spread of nuclear weapons, the Johnson administration decided to ignore Israel's nuclear program. If the Israeli bomb became public knowledge, the Arab states would most likely refuse to sign the treaty, a treaty designed to prevent exactly what Israel had just done. At this time, the Israelis were trying to buy Phantom jets from the US. These were nuclear-capable jets. Some in the Johnson administration wanted to condition the sale on Israel signing the NPT. Johnson sided with the Israelis, telling his staff, "Sell them anything they want. Don't bother me with this anymore." In a 1969 meeting between President Richard Nixon and Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir, Nixon agreed the US would...
Whoa. Someone said Trafficante in chat earlier and about the JFK thing. So I typed in Trafficante killed JFK and it broke Google AI. Look at this. What is this? This the redacted Google? What is going on here? It broke Google AI. It says, Santo Trafficante Jr., a powerful Florida mafia boss, is a central figure in... Let me zoom out some. In... 3, just all fucking threes. What the fuck? What is happening here? Island conspiracy. It says in, then all these threes, island conspiracy theories. What the fuck? What is that? What is all those threes? What do you mean island conspiracy?
Never again questioned the Israeli nuclear program, and inspections would stop. Prime Minister Meir agreed not to test a nuclear weapon, never to make their existence public, and to not be the first to introduce nuclear weapons to the Middle East, a phrase Israel still uses today. The United States had just gone from careless observer of the Israeli nuclear program to its enabler. Free from any restrictions, the Israeli...
And yeah, now we support it. A nuclear weapon holding Israel. Because the way it was explained to me when I was young and politicians used to say it and preachers used to say, everybody around them wants them dead. They have to have the nuclear option.
And to produce as many nuclear weapons as possible. By 1973, Israel had built at least 20 nuclear weapons. After the 1967 war...
Still doesn't explain why they won't let inspectors in, but whatever.
Israel had conquered massive amounts of territory from its neighbors. Soon after, the UN passed Resolution 242, which called for the return of the captured...
This is a good picture. So we have Gaza down here, which we're talking about a lot. This is all the West Bank. The West Bank has a bunch of weird settlers in it that are not officially endorsed by the Israel government. But unofficially, they're like, yeah, go fuck those people. Go settle in it. Fuck them up. We'll kill them. Don't take no shit off of them. Like, they're really fucking violent and shit. And then Golan Heights is way up here at the top. See this area, Golan Heights? That's a pretty good map.
lands.
And the Sinai, of course.
Refused to comply. Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on October 6, 1973, to retake lands lost in 1967. Israel's military was caught off guard. Egyptian forces...
The whole West Bank settlers and shit is fucking crazy, dude. And the way they treat each other and how they're fucking constantly... Like, it's almost like a lawless land. Yes, the army protects the settlers while they're doing shit that's clearly illegal. Like, they'll form mobs and just go beat the shit out of and kill people and take over their fucking house. And the army looks the other way or protects them while they're fucking up the people that live there, right? The Middle Eastern people that live there. And Benjamin Netanyahu, officially on the record, doesn't support that or whatever, but off the record, they know that he fucking has their back and supports them and funds them and does all this. It's crazy.
Crossed the Suez Canal while Syrian troops stormed across the Golan Heights, pushing deep into territory Israel had occupied. Israeli commanders panicked. Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Dayan claimed this is the end of the Third Temple. In Washington, President Nixon and Henry Kissinger held back on rushing arms to Israel, hoping that if the Arabs could regain some territory and some dignity and Israel took a few hard hits, it might open the door to a permanent land for peace deal. Shaken by the massive losses, Prime Minister Golda Meir and her cabinet decided to ready their nuclear arsenal. If the Arabs advanced further, Israel would activate the Samson option, taking out the whole region. Missile launchers were put on standby and the F-4 Phantom jets were reportedly loaded with nuclear bombs, with Cairo and Damascus in their sights. Israeli leaders made their nuclear preparations visible so that both the Americans and the Soviets watching overhead noticed. The Soviets likely passed a warning to their Egyptian and Syrian allies, which may help explain why the Syrian forces, who had advanced rapidly at first, suddenly slowed their offensive after October 7th. Henry Kissinger, who had coolly planned to let Israel take some hits so he could negotiate a peace treaty.
Is it the threes? Are they both big fans of multiple threes in a row?
Suddenly flipped overnight. James Schlesinger, then the American Secretary of Defense, reported Kissinger just turned around totally. He got a little hysterical. The Israelis received an immediate and massive resupply of American weapons and ammunition. A month later, when Kissinger...
Oh, by the way, if you want to support the show while you're learning something, do it at the Just Quick Tools link or use the built-in donation, blah, 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 whatever. Super chats, super stickers, bits, whatever. Subscribe, like, share, join our Discord. Send me money. I'm in this weird group of I'm never going to be able to buy a house unless you guys help me. Thank you.
Met Egyptian President Anwar Sadat in Cairo, he admitted it was serious, more serious than you can imagine. France stopped supplying Israel with uranium after 1967. Israel's new partner in nuclear cooperation became apartheid South Africa. In March of 1976, Shimon Peres visited South Africa, and a month later, South Africa's Prime Minister Vorster, imprisoned during World War II for being a Nazi, visited Israel.
I can't find any proof of what Trump's saying about the cutting the heads off babies. I did know this. I do know this, though. In Iran, you can be basically tried and sentenced and punished as an adult if you're a boy at 15. But if you're a girl at 9, isn't that crazy? I was reading something the other day and stumbled across this. 9 years old is when they believe an adult girl is capable to be punished as an adult for whatever. And 15, I understand the 15 for a boy, and a lot of different cultures are set up like that. 15, 9? A 9-year-old girl?
Israel offered to sell the apartheid regime nuclear-capable Jericho missiles, although the deal eventually collapsed because of the high cost. South Africa did, however, provide Israel with over 600 tons of yellowcake uranium in exchange for Israel helping them build their own nuclear weapons program. For years, Israel defied an international arms embargo to trade weapons with apartheid South Africa and trained their...
Not our greatest ally. Our greatest ally was going against the arms embargo and working with South Africa. Why?
Security forces on how to more efficiently brutalize an occupied population. The two regimes shared not only arms but ideology. As one Israeli official stated, they are also European settlers standing against a hostile world. 6 years later, during the night on the 22nd of September 1979, an American satellite named Vela 6911 detected something alarming off the coast of South Africa. A double flash, the unmistakable signature of a nuclear...
That's a nuclear test, the double flash
explosion. The Vela satellites had been orbiting Earth since the 1960s, designed specifically to detect violations of the 1963 Partial Test Ban Treaty, which prohibited nuclear tests above ground or underwater. As one insider said, someone had let something off that the US didn't want anyone to know about. South Africa did not yet have nuclear warheads. The only nuclear-capable state that had the motive and the ability to carry out a nuclear test was Israel. President Jimmy Carter convened an emergency meeting in the White House Situation Room. His diary entry for that day said there was indication of a nuclear explosion in the region of South Africa. Either South Africa, Israel using a ship at sea, or nothing. Carter's instincts weren't wrong. 3 of the US Navy's acoustic sensors on Ascension Island detected an explosion, and the Naval Research Laboratory confirmed that it matched signals detected during earlier French nuclear tests in the Pacific. The radiation from the event irradiated sheep as far away as Australia. Leonard Weiss, a Senate nuclear advisor at the time, was briefed by intelligence agencies. He wrote, "The weight of the evidence that the Vela event was an Israeli nuclear test assisted by South Africa appears overwhelming." According to
adults, but I guess property.
One Israeli source, it was the third such test in the region. The 2-kiloton detonation was supposed to be masked by a passing storm, but a gap in the clouds allowed the Vela satellite to catch a brief glimpse. Acknowledging that this was an Israeli test was inconvenient. Elections were coming up, the Camp David peace accords had just been signed, and Carter had built his presidency on nuclear arms control. If Israel's involvement was made public, it would force the administration to sanction Israel.
So they just hid that from us, so it didn't look as bad for Carter.
The White House buried it. Privately, Carter knew the truth. In February of 1980, his diary noted the Israelis did indeed conduct a nuclear test explosion in the ocean near the southern end of Africa. Israel faced no consequences for violating the partial test ban treaty.
Of course
or
not.
The 1977 Glenn Amendment, which dictated that if
Why would they? Our greatest allies.
they will be sanctioned. And so, Israel's nuclear program only expanded.
Are you tired of hearing me say our greatest allies yet?
Deliverable by American jets, by German submarines, and by Israeli missiles. Israeli nuclear policy today is guided by what is known as the Begin Doctrine, named after Menachem Begin, who led the Irgun militia that blew up the King David Hotel in 1946 and massacred the Palestinian populations of villages like Deir Yassin in 1948. Begin called the massacre at Deir Yassin splendid, and then he was voted
our greatest ally.
Israel. The Begin Doctrine is simple. Israel can have nuclear weapons, but no other state in the Middle East can. This doctrine came into action in June of 1981 when Israeli jets using American satellite imagery bombed Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor. The strike facility before it ever came online.
Literally, the doctrine they live by is we're the only people that can have nuclear weapons in the Middle East because we're the only people you can trust with it. I don't think we can trust them with it.
Was the world's first attack on a nuclear reactor. The attack itself was controversial even within Israel. The director of the Mossad and the head of military intelligence both opposed it, arguing that there was no concrete evidence that Iraq could even build a nuclear bomb. In 1986, Mordecai Vanunu, a former nuclear technician at the Dimona facility, leaked photographs and descriptions of Israel's nuclear
I wonder why people in the Middle East hate us.
weapons program to the London Sunday Times. Vanunu's images revealed a
Can't we just all be friends?
massive underground plutonium plant. Through his bravery, the global community for the first time was able to estimate the sheer scale of Israel's arsenal. Around the world, there were always rumors that Israel had a small, mostly antiquated atomic arsenal, but the Sunday Times report showed Israel had stockpiled dozens of sophisticated nuclear weapons. Vanunu told the Sunday Times that he believed the Israeli nuclear stockpile totaled more than 200 warheads, 10 times what the CIA and Defense Intelligence Agency estimated. Soon after the story was published, Mossad agents lured Vanunu to Rome, drugged him, and smuggled him back to Israel. He was then tried in secret and spent over a decade in solitary confinement.
What? No. Mossad? The secret agents from Israel lured someone to a foreign country, drugged them, and smuggled them back to their home country to face a secret trial? No.
Israel had built its nuclear arsenal in secret with barely disguised American support and shattered the global effort to prevent nuclear proliferation. As one analyst put it, Israelis blazed a
Now, how the fuck can they be mad at anybody else for enriching uranium?
trail for the Pakistanis. Under US law, Israel's nuclear program should have triggered automatic sanctions. Pakistan was sanctioned in 1997 for its nuclear program. Taiwan was pressured to abandon theirs. Iraq was supposedly invaded for its WMDs, and now the US has bombed Iran to halt its nuclear program. All while Israel remains the largest ever recipient of American aid. In 2018, it was revealed that 4 consecutive US presidents, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Trump, wrote private letters to Israel that the US would never press the nuclear issue. Israel is now upgrading its facilities at Dimona and building more advanced nuclear delivery systems that can strike any city in the Middle East. Publicly, the US still pretends it doesn't know Israel has nuclear weapons. Helen Thomas famously asked President Obama in 2009,
Mr. President, do you know of any country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons?
With respect to nuclear weapons, I don't want to speculate.
This was a lie directed
I don't want to speculate. Get out of here.
Protect a foreign state. While Netanyahu has been claiming Iran is weeks away from a bomb for 30 years, Israel increasingly flaunts its nuclear might. In 2023, an Israeli politician called for dropping doomsday weapons on Gaza, declaring only an explosion that shakes the Middle East will restore this country's dignity.
What's crazy is they literally have people within their government and within their administration and just fucking within Israel. They're just like, fucking nuke them. That'll teach them. Like, they know they have got the weapons, and they're not bashful about suggesting to use them.
The Israeli heritage minister advocated for dropping a nuclear bomb on Gaza. Israel has grown increasingly erratic and violent as it has flattened Gaza, killed hundreds in the West Bank, invaded Lebanon and Syria and bombed Yemen, assassinated Iranian scientists, and now bombed Iran itself. Human rights groups and genocide scholars are calling Israel's campaign in Gaza genocide, while Netanyahu screams that
everybody should be calling what they're doing in Gaza genocide and Palestinians.
Not The Hague. Netanyahu has said that Iran must face a credible nuclear threat. He stood in front of the Dimona reactor and threatened that Israel can also wipe countries off the map. Iran has faced a nuclear threat for years. In a leaked email in 2015, Colin Powell wrote, "The Iranians can't use one even if they finally make it. The boys in Tehran know Israel has 200, all targeted."
Still, yeah, right? Like, even if Iran, first of all, even if Iran did make one, what are they going to fucking do with it? As soon as they fire it, that's where all of Israel's are pointed at.
at Tehran. Israel has already dropped several Hiroshima bombs worth of explosives on tiny Gaza. They clearly do not mind unleashing mass destruction. Israel's nuclear arsenal grows outside of any treaty. It is beyond any inspections, and world leaders ignore its obvious existence, even though nuclear war is one of the things most humans place at the top of their list of fears. After Israel's 2014 war on Gaza, 18 Arab UN members pushed for Israel to sign the Non-Proliferation Treaty. It is the only state in the region that hasn't. They also asked them to place their arsenal under IAEA inspection. They didn't ask for it to be dismantled, they simply asked for regular international law to be applied to Israel. There were 161 votes in favour and 5 against. Those 5 were the United States, Israel, Canada, Palau and Micronesia. And this policy, this double standard, puts everyone at risk. Nuclear proliferation is an existential threat to humanity. Iran's desire for nuclear weapons exists because there is already a nuclear threat in Israel. Worse still, Israel has not only built its own bombs in secret, it has spread nuclear technology to other countries, fueling the nuclear proliferation it claims to fear. If the United States truly wanted peace, it would force Israel to the table, linking denuclearization to security guarantees and the end of the genocide against Palestinians. But that would mean addressing the truth, Israel's weapons. By turning a blind eye to Israel's nuclear weapons while continuously arming Israel in violation of its own laws, the United States has signaled to the world that international law doesn't really exist. Why would any nation follow the rules?
Especially if you're not an ally of ours.
Well, Israel didn't, and Iran was bombed despite allowing inspections and pursuing negotiations. This invites other nations to break the rules, threatening a future where every conflict risks going nuclear.
Imagine some other superpower bombing the fuck out of Israel and being like, calm down, U.S., right? Calm down. They've got nuclear weapons. They won't sign the agreement. We're afraid they're going to use them. We knew they were pointed at this place or that place. Like, come on. We all got to play ball here.
Or a repeat of an increasingly isolated Israel spreading nuclear weapons to its allies, like it did with apartheid South Africa. Israel joining the Non-Proliferation Treaty and accepting inspections is the only way to build a nuclear-free Middle East, which has to become the goal. The only alternative is an arms race that will doom millions of people. To understand just how close to midnight nuclear weapons can drag us, I really recommend watching Red Atoms. It is a...
So there you go, guys. We learned a little bit about ourselves, I think, and a little bit about Israel at the same time. You're welcome.
We have some major Iran updates this evening. Donald Trump now says that the map of Iran will probably not look the same once the U.S. and Israeli bombing campaign concludes. Not sure what he means by that.
What does that mean? That, like, we're going to take land? We're going to seize land from them?
But that is a statement from the president tonight. It comes as an Iranian senior official, Ali Larijani, who previously threatened Donald Trump and says that Trump will pay, tonight claims for the first time that Iran has taken several American soldiers as prisoner. That claim has not been verified and hasn't been backed up by any other evidence, but it may be circulating across the internet, so I'm telling you that is coming from an Iranian official. Trump this evening also ruled out having the Kurds assist the United States effort in Iran. There were prior reporting that the CIA may be arming the Kurds so that the Kurds can launch some type of uprising within Iran. Trump is ruling that out, although that could still very well happen. That's the latest right now. I'll have more updates for you very soon. Spread the word, and as always, follow.
So they're claiming they have U.S. soldiers as prisoners. I don't know that that's true.
Along for all the news you need to know about. We have some major...
Listen to this post. Iran, which has been beat to hell, has apologized and surrendered to its Middle East neighbors and promised that it will not shoot at them anymore. This promise was only made because of the relentless U.S. and Israeli attack. They were looking to take over and rule the Middle East. It is the first time that Iran has ever lost in thousands of years to surrounding Middle Eastern countries. They have said, thank you, sir, Mr. President, sir, President Trump. And I have said, you're very welcome. Iran is no longer the bully of the Middle East. They are instead the loser of the Middle East. I think about making that their nickname, the losers of the Middle East. And they will be for many decades until they surrender or more likely completely collapse. Today, Iran will be hit very hard under serious considerations for complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad boy behavior. Our areas and groups of people that were not considered for targeting up until this moment in time, right now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President, does that sound like a fucking president, dude? I think I'll call them the losers of Middle Easteria. I hate this guy, dude, so much. There is something going on that I think we should all be concerned about. And the rule currently, it's in place. They're taking public comment on this rule. But this is actually really scary. I'm going to try to explain it to you. Pam Bondi is trying to put forth a rule right now. Any prosecutor or any lawyer that works for the Department of Justice, if they get complaints or they do something crazy, or like Lindsay Halligan or whatever, their home state where they hold their bar licensing, that the bar can investigate them and potentially pull their license, right? And that's the way it should be. They're licensed here. Those people can investigate them. If they find out they've fucked up somehow and it's worthy of it, they can offer sanctions or maybe just a strongly worded letter, or they can pull their license to practice law. Lindsay Halligan, I think, is currently being investigated by the Florida bar. Maybe that's fake news. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Pam Bondi is moving to put in a new rule at the Justice Department that says that anytime a state bar agency is investigating a lawyer that they license, that the Department of Justice can step in and immediately take over that investigation and remove the ability for the state bar to investigate. So what does that actually look like in practice? Anytime one of their lawyers fucks up, does something crazy, does something for Trump that they know that's illegal, their bar is going to want to investigate them. The Department of Justice just immediately comes in and says, nope, we're not, nope, that investigation's over, and there's no way for them to ever be disciplined in any way, shape, or form. They'll just come in, they'll quash the investigation, and there's no way to hold these lawyers accountable. And this has been instrumental in the Trump administration. Look how many lawyers have tried to stand up for him in some illegal way and have lost their license to practice, or had a forced retirement, or surrendered it, or whatever. This is fucking crazy. This is Liz Oyer. She's the former DOJ pardon attorney. Here's her describing it. I hope I did it justice describing it.
Everybody. Today, Pam Bondi announced a new rule that would effectively make Justice Department lawyers immune from any consequences if they violate their ethical duties in furtherance of Donald Trump's agenda. This is really bad.
Which is what Trump wants. He doesn't give a fuck. He said it on multiple occasions. He wants them to do what they want. And some lawyers have pushed back and been like, no, I'll lose my license. I'm not doing that, right? We've seen like immigration attorneys say, look, I can't do that. It's illegal. I can't do it. Now he wants, as long as you're loyal to him, you're protected, which is what he's been trying to implement the whole time, right? Loyalists that are protected when they do illegal shit for him. That's what Trump wants. And they don't have an excuse. They can't say, oh, I can't do that because, the bar will come after me or blah, blah, whatever, right? None of that matters anymore because they're taking that ability away. And it seems like the rule just goes through automatically, and all they're doing is taking public comment. They'll probably be sued for this, hopefully. And if you put in a public comment, those public comments will be part of the record eventually in the lawsuit.
But there is something we can do about it, so please watch and share. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. All practicing lawyers are subject to rules of professional responsibility. It's pretty basic stuff. You can't lie to a judge. You can't present false evidence. You can't have conflicts of interest, that sort of thing. Prosecutors have extra responsibilities. They must respect the rights of the accused. They can't bring charges that are unsupported by evidence. Basic rules of fair play. These rules are enforced by state bar associations. Every lawyer...
That's basically the only people that can enforce these, right? Like, you could go to the Supreme Court or a court of appeals to get something thrown out, but really a judge can. But Once we found out that you did something illegal that's outside the judge's purview, or you're not in front of the judge anymore, who else enforced this? We're just supposed to trust the DOJ will discipline them?
Including those who work for DOJ, must be licensed to practice by at least one state bar. The state bar is responsible for investigating misconduct and punishing lawyers who break the rules. And that's where Pam Bondi's new rule comes in. Bondi is trying to stop state bar associations from investigating misconduct by DOJ lawyers. She has proposed a rule that would allow the Attorney General to step in and shut down state bar investigations when complaints are filed against DOJ lawyers. This is a huge deal for a couple reasons. First, many DOJ officials are actually facing bar investigations, including Todd Blanche, Ed Martin, Emil Bove, and others. This rule would effectively end those investigations and ensure that these officials face no consequences for their egregious misconduct. Second, this rule basically invites DOJ lawyers to break the rules, if that's what it takes to please the president. It makes them immune from consequences like suspension or disbarment. And right now, those potential consequences are what is preventing a lot of attorneys from caving to the immense pressure to win at all costs. Pam Bondi claims that DOJ can be trusted to investigate itself. That is absurd. Over the last year, Bondi has removed all the internal guardrails that keep DOJ lawyers in check. She fired the top ethics official. She ousted the director of professional responsibility. She has loaded up the department with political loyalists and stripped away all the rules. So here's what we can do. This rule has to go through a public comment period before it can take effect. That means we can submit comments voicing our objections. DOJ is required to review and respond to our comments, so the more the better. I'll put some instructions in the text of this post. We won't persuade Pam Bondi to change her mind, but we can create a strong record of public opposition. This rule will definitely be challenged in court, and our objections will be part of the official record. Please share widely so this does not fly under the radar, which is what Pam Bondi wants. Hey everybody, today Pam...
How fucking crazy is that? Lawyers that are willing to go break the law blatantly, knowing that they're protected. Remember when all the lawyers stood up and wouldn't bring, this action, or wouldn't do this, or bring this case, or wouldn't defend that, or wouldn't lie and say the election was stolen, or this, that, and they all got in trouble, right? Most of them have been disbarred or had to step down or got sued or something. Something happened. Hopefully there'll be a lawsuit that fucking stops this. That's all I can say about it. I don't know what else to say. This is insane. That the DOJ, who we already can't trust, right, with the actions they're taking under Pam Bondi and the things they've done, can just come in and be like, oh, that investigation you're doing because you're the licensing body for this person that holds a license under your authority, we're going to take it over. Oh, it's closed. Thank God we took that over and it ended so quickly. Like, what else can you fucking say about it? This is horrible. Pam Bondi should be disbarred. If anybody should be disbarred. I don't know. It's insane. Wild to me, but that's part of it, I guess. I don't know. Fucking insane.
Well, just like the others that came before her, Human Skid Mark Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Sidney Powell, and John Eastman, Lindsay Halligan is being investigated by the Florida State Bar. I declare, honey.
I don't know if this was true. I just heard it.
The New York Times, a letter was issued last month to a watchdog group that was filing a complaint with the Florida.
Because it's like from 2 days ago, it says, yes, she's under investigation. And then from a day ago, The Hill says it was an erroneous letter that was sent out. It says it erroneously stated that an ethics investigation is underway against Lindsay Halligan, the ex-U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia who prosecuted President Trump's political adversaries. A spokesperson for Florida Bar said in a statement that to The Hill that no such pending investigation exists. In response to an inquiry from a complainant, the Florida Bar wrote a letter to the complainant erroneously stating that there is a pending bar investigation of member Lindsay Halligan, said Jennifer Corral Davis, Director of Communications for the State Bar. There is no such pending bar investigation of Lindsay Halligan, she continued. In this case, the Florida Bar received a complaint against Halligan and Consistent with standard practice, the bar is monitoring the ongoing legal proceedings underlying the complaint. The clarification comes a day after the bar seemed to confirm an ongoing probe by saying it does not comment on active cases. So very confusing whether they're actually investigating them or not. In response to a request for comment from The Hill, Halligan wrote, "Where's my apology?" This is the dumb bitch that was just randomly texting that reporter. It's like, you could do so much better. I assume this is all off the record after she spilled everything about the prosecuting Trump's enemies, basically. And then she's like, the next day, she's like, "I hope you know that all this was off the record." Oh, okay. Expose them. Go get them. Put them all out there. But no, we've been mostly talking about Iran and Israel's nuclear weapons for the last, I don't know, fucking hour. All right, guys. I think that's it for me. It's 1 a.m. here. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being here. Consider supporting the show if you like it, if you want to keep it going. You can do that at this link, which the bot keeps throwing in the chat, the Just Quick Tools link. Yeah, thank you for that. The Dow is 50 thou. That's right. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Support the show. That's how we pay the bills around here. I greatly appreciate it. We put the donations back in the show and trying to buy a fucking house in this economy. Thank you all for being here. Listen to me, bitch, and complain. Never forget our greatest ally and our Lord and Savior, Benjamin Netanyahu. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See ya. Bye. Have a good weekend.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
I think Uncle Epstein was just a misunderstood man. You know, he's kind of the black sheep of the family, but
You know that stage is set.
family's family. What can you do about it?
We ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the back.
Thanks, Fellrunner.
Stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Opened his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously.
Austin asked me not to thank you anymore, Legend. He said it's going straight to your head. So
I think I started some shit.
I just end on that.
Get lit, get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss him off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his...
He said you're running around the house screaming that you defeated Boris single-handedly. And I kind of take issue with that, to be honest with you.
All these that were doing no damn research. They be working copy on cocks that came first. Ninth inning, second string, and they acting like they know hitters. Assholes throwing bullshit, sending runs to the shitter. All this nonsense on my conscience, it's hard to sleep at night. Who the fuck is in my window with this time of the night? These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby-eating heathens. Believing in reason for no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird motherfuckers out here busting the grifts. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go, I think I...
Good night, guys. Thank you all for joining us.
Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that...
Have a good weekend. I guess it's still going on, right?
You ain't seen nothing yet.
You don't have those guts because you're a pussy. You're a pussy wearing aviator glasses in your mother's basement, and I won't even give out your dime store.